Chapter 1066. After that, Night Sorrow entered the tent that Tianyu had set up. Wu Lingfei, Zhu Jilyan, Xue Shi, and his 3 wives all entered as well. Night Sorrow lowered his head and fell into deep thought. 13. What are you thinking about? Aoi asked as she brewed a pot of tea. Should my original body stop cultivating and rush back to join the battle? This way, our overall strength will increase. Night Sorrow exhaled and said. No. Long Xiansheng and Xian Wenxiu entered the tent. Wu Lingfei, Zhu Jilyan, and the others who were originally sitting also stood up. They did not agree with Night Sorrow's idea. Commander, the improvement of your original body is not only your personal achievement, but also the achievement of the 9 regions world. Unless it is absolutely necessary, unless the 9 regions world is destroyed, you cannot destroy your own future. Long Xianqing said. Alright. If the situation is not good, then we will talk about it. Night Sorrow nodded. He was also conflicted about interrupting his original body's cultivation. Night Sorrow felt that the variable in this calamity of the 9 regions world was whether the Heaven Sealing Palace, which was controlled by his clone, could suppress the evil world's attack. If it could, then they could fight steadily, and victory would be in the 9 regions world. If it could not, then the battle would have to be fought quickly. 3 days passed, and the evil world arrived. It came from the bottom of the 9 regions world and connected to it. At this time, Night Sorrow's 9 regions origin pearl was transferred to his clone in the Heaven Sealing Palace. Some resources were also kept by the Heaven Sealing Palace. As the 2 worlds connected, the 9 regions world shook violently. This was the attack of the evil world, and it wanted to break through the 9 regions world. Night Sorrow's clone that had fused with the Heaven Sealing Palace controlled the Heaven Sealing Palace, which was also the 9 regions origin pearl, and began to suppress the evil world. With the support of the 9 regions origin pearl, Night Sorrow could completely mobilize the 9 regions world's origin energy, and fiercely suppress the evil world's attack. With Night Sorrow's powerful suppression, the 9 regions world stabilized. Feeling the consumption of his own energy and the 9 regions origin energy, Night Sorrow felt that he could hold on for 3 years. Such a situation calmed Night Sorrow's heart. 3 years was not a rush, and he could deal with the upcoming battle steadily. After the 9 domain world stabilized, Night Sorrow turned to look at the participants of the 9 domain world. The situation isn't bad. If we don't count the effects of the battle, I can guard this place for 3 years. In other words, we have to resolve this calamity within 3 years. 3 years is not a rush. Commander, you can arrange the battles. Long Xianqing said. Night Sorrow looked at the group of people and said, First, we have to kill. Kill all the life in the evil world, and get the evil world's origin energy. Then, we will win. However, the evil world is a manifestation of the heavenly Tao's calamity, and the world's origin energy will not be so easily found and destroyed. I will take care of this mission. After everyone enters, we will fight steadily and steadily, slowly nibbling away at the enemy's strength. The more the enemy suffers, the less impact it will have on the 9 regions world. After hearing Night Sorrow's words, everyone felt a little more confident. They were worried that the 9 regions world would not be able to resist the evil world's attack, and the battle would be very hasty. The current situation was not bad. Night Sorrow brought everyone to the bottom of Clear Sky Mountain, and then tore the space apart, opening a spatial tunnel, and brought everyone into the evil world. This is not very convenient. Xue Shi, go to the Heaven Sealing Hall and find my clone to get 300 Saint Spirit Stones. You go to Big Dipper City and find Beixing to help me get 2 low-grade world transfer stones. Night Sorrow said to Xue Shi. Night Sorrow felt that this was a little inconvenient. After setting up a world transfer array, the war would be much more convenient. As for wasting world transfer crystals, that would not be a problem. When the world transfer array was not needed, it could be dismantled. In addition, Saint Grade and Saint King Grade world transfer stones were not very expensive. A Saint-grade World Transfer Stone could be bought for a few dozen Saint Spirit Stones, and a Saint King-grade World Transfer Stone was only worth 100 Saint Spirit Stones. Night Sorrow could afford it. Nodding to Night Sorrow, Xueshi left through the spatial tunnel that Night Sorrow had torn open. Spies, go out and scout. The rest of you, set up camp. Since we have time, we will advance steadily. Night Sorrow said. Night Sorrow entered the tent that the members of the God-slaying team had set up. Sitting in the command tent, Night Sorrow sorted out the information he had received. The various teams were already scouting and killing the evil creatures. Lu Qin was in charge of the communication crystals of the leaders of the teams. In a battle in a different world, the use of soul crystals was the same as the use of communication crystals. Different amounts of communication crystals would send different messages. One communication crystal was a call for help. 2 communication crystals meant that they could not send help. It was extremely dangerous. Because there were many teams, managing the information was not complicated. Night Sorrow specifically assigned Lu Qin to manage it. The members of the God-slaying team followed Wu Lingfei into battle. Night Moon's team followed Yi Qianhua and Yi Tian into battle. Night Sorrow had instructed them not to be too far away from the camp. This way, he would be able to provide support as quickly as possible. This was also the reason why he did not participate in the battle. This was the first time Night Sorrow had experienced such a situation. In the past, when there were battles in the 9-domain world, he had always been at the forefront. He had never been at the back like this. However, he had to oversee the entire situation now. After 4 days, the teams in the 9-domain world had cleared out an area of 10,000 miles. Xueshi had also returned. Xueshi had brought 2 Saint-grade teleportation crystals. Bei Xing had helped her buy them. Night Sorrow had set up a teleportation array between the 9-domain world and the evil world. He had also arranged for Black Shang to set up a teleportation array between Clear Sky City and Clear Sea City. This way, they could quickly enter the battlefield. Bei Xing had also asked Xueshi to bring Night Sorrow a few books and letters. They were records of the world's growth tribulations. After reading through them, Night Sorrow understood a little. The world's growth tribulations were a test for the people of the current generation. However, it was also an opportunity. If one could survive the tribulations and win the War of the Worlds, the participants would receive the blessings of the world's origin. Of course, the extent of the blessings depended on one's contributions. The blessings of the world's origin would increase one's life level. It would also strengthen one's soul foundation. It was a rare opportunity. After closing the book, Night Sorrow understood that danger and opportunity were relative. They existed all the time. Many monarchs had experienced the test of the world's tribulations and achieved great things. Win. We must win. Regardless of how much we gain, our roots cannot be destroyed. No matter what, we must have a home. Night Sorrow looked at Xueshi and said. We can definitely do it because we are united, Xueshi said. The only authentic copy, the others are pirated copies. However, the book also said that the life forms in the evil world are all energy bodies. Their level is higher than the world's tribulations. Chapter 1067. You can also fight above your level. Even if it's a 1-star or 2-star king, we won't be afraid. We can't possibly fight a 3-star or 4-star king, right? Don't worry, we can definitely do it. Xueshi looked at Night Sorrow and said. I'm confident too. Let's fight. Night Sorrow said. Night Sorrow listened to the reports every day and knew a little about the situation. The creatures of the evil world were all energy bodies, but they had Dan beads and intelligence. They fought crazily without any regard for their lives. Yi Shan's command tent also kept moving forward, following the footsteps of the battle team. Night Sorrow didn't care about the fish that slipped through the net. A few fish that slipped through the net couldn't do anything. However, he left Xueshi behind to guard the teleportation array. Before Xueshi returned, Night Sorrow wanted to wait for the situation to stabilize before going in alone to see if he could find the source of the evil world. However, after reading the letter that Northstar had found, he knew that this method would not work. If he did not destroy the other party's strength, the evil world's origin would not appear. This was a comprehensive test for the 9 regions world, and there were no loopholes. As the team from the 9-domain world advanced, the array masters from the Ultimate Celestial Tower and the Ultimate Assassin Hall also set up their transportation arrays to keep up with them. Logistical support and manpower could keep up during a battle. Night Sorrow was a little anxious. The other teams in front were fighting, but he could only fight at the back. He couldn't fight at the front line. On this day, while Night Sorrow was reading the letter, Lu Qin entered Night Sorrow's tent. "Commander, Elder Wu is asking for help. She's probably in trouble." "What direction? How far is it?" Night Sorrow asked anxiously. Wu Lingfei had always taken care of him, so he valued her a lot. He had special feelings for her. He definitely didn't want anything to happen to her. "Southeast. I can't tell the exact distance," Lu Qin said. Just as Lu Qin finished speaking, Night Sorrow's body cut through space and disappeared from Lu Qin's sight. Night Sorrow pushed his speed to the limit in order to reach the battlefield as soon as possible. That way, Wu Lingfei wouldn't be hurt. In Night Sorrow's heart, Wu Lingfei was a strong person. She wouldn't ask for help unless she had no other choice. After a quarter of an hour, Night Sorrow had covered a distance of several thousand li. His soul power was fully unleashed as he searched for any signs of battle. After flying for more than 4,000 miles, Night Sorrow discovered the location of Wu Lingfei's group. The situation was very urgent. Wu Lingfei's original body and avatar were resisting the attacks of a black-clothed man. Half-step king, this black-robed man was a half-step king. Wu Lingfei, who was a star saint king, naturally could not withstand him. She was already in a precarious situation, with the danger of dying at any time. Her waist had already been stabbed, with blood flowing out. It was obvious that her original body was injured, and the Golden Phoenix flexible armor had also been cut open. The members of the god-slaying team were also battered and exhausted. They were being attacked by a group of high-level tamed beasts in blood-red clothes. "Damn it! Let me deal with Aunt Fei." Night Sorrow's body flickered as he used Space Splitter. Next, he used Space Twisting Dragon Kill to attack the black-robed man. Seeing Night Sorrow attack, the black-robed man directly swung his blade. He had no intention of retreating. His eyes were fixed on the retreating Wu Lingfei. He planned to repel Night Sorrow and then continue attacking Wu Lingfei. With a muffled sound, the black-robed man was directly sent flying by Night Sorrow. Not to mention that he was only a fire-attributed half-step monarch. Even if it was a 1-star or 2-star monarch, Yishan wouldn't be afraid. After sending the black-robed man flying, Night Sorrow's protective barrier slashed and chased after the black-robed man. Then, he used Heavenly Wasteland Absolute Kill. With the sound of weapons clashing, the black-robed man was sent flying again by Night Sorrow. Blood continuously spurted from his mouth. The black-robed man's cultivation was inferior to Night Sorrow's. In addition, he was affected by Night Sorrow's will of space and will of time. The speed and energy of his blade were greatly reduced. Therefore, he naturally didn't have an easy time facing Night Sorrow's attack. After sending the black-robed man flying, Night Sorrow directly used Soul Extinguishing Slash. How could the black-robed man, who was already severely injured, resist Night Sorrow's Soul Extinguishing Slash? Night Sorrow didn't even need to replenish his energy. The crescent blade of Soul Extinguishing Slash directly shattered his divine orb. The absolute kill was completed. Supra P New Chapter, Section Q above. After killing the black-robed man, Night Sorrow started to attack the sage-level opponents who were wearing blood-red clothes and had tamed beasts. As Night Sorrow's body flashed, the blood-robed men besieging the god-slaying team fell down one after another. Night Sorrow killed them almost one by one. The god-slaying team also started their desperate counterattack. With Night Sorrow's arrival, they had a backbone. The battle ended in the time it took to brew a cup of tea. Night Sorrow arrived in front of Wu Lingfei, who was leaning against a tree and resting. "Aunt Fei, how are you?" "Fortunately, I managed to hold on until you arrived." Wu Lingfei smiled and nodded at Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow reached out and grabbed Wu Lingfei's hand. He used his spirit energy to check her condition. His expression immediately turned ugly. Wu Lingfei's injuries were very serious. Her internal organs had been severely injured. The wound on her waist was emitting a fiery aura. In addition, Night Sorrow could sense that Wu Lingfei's blood was depleted. "Aunt Fei, did you burn your blood essence to fight?" Night Sorrow controlled the dragon cauldron and poured medicine spirit energy into Wu Lingfei. "Yes. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to hold on. The consequences would have been very serious. Our people would have been greatly injured." Wu Lingfei nodded. Night Sorrow understood that it wasn't easy for Wu Lingfei to hold on until he arrived. After all, the difference between a Star Sage King and a Half-Step King was too great. This was also because Wu Lingfei had the life attribute. Otherwise, the consequences would have been unimaginable. Yi Shang bent down and picked up Wu Lingfei. He enlarged the dragon cauldron and put all the members of the god-slaying team into it. Then, he controlled the dragon cauldron's medicine spirit to heal Wu Lingfei's wounds while flying at high speed. After returning to the camp's command tent, Night Sorrow placed Wu Lingfei on the bed where he was meditating. He released the members of the god-slaying squad and gave out healing pills for them to heal. Night Sorrow grabbed Wu Lingfei's arm and used his world's origin energy to heal her. At this time, Wu Lingfei's pale face flushed red. Because Night Sorrow was healing her like this, she didn't have any secrets from Night Sorrow. Seeing Night Sorrow's tightly closed eyes and furrowed brows, Wu Lingfei also closed her eyes. She guided Night Sorrow's energy to move around her injuries. An hour later, concubine Wu Lingfei cut off Yi Shan's energy. Night Sorrow stood up and took 2 steps back. Wu Lingfei also opened her eyes. "Aunt Fei, I'm fine. I'll be fine after resting for 2 days." Wu Lingfei tidied up her skirt. Because her skirt had been cut open at her waist, the wound had healed with the help of Night Sorrow's energy. However, the surrounding snow-like skin was already exposed. Chapter 1068. Auntie Fei, I was a bit rash just now. It was mainly because I was a bit anxious. Night Sorrow also felt that it was a bit inappropriate. It's nothing. Auntie Fei knows you're in a hurry. Otherwise, you wouldn't have arrived 15 minutes after Auntie Fei crushed the soul crystal. Wu Lingfei shook her head as she looked at the embarrassed Yi Shang. "It's good that there's no big problem. I was really afraid. If something happened to Auntie Fei, I wouldn't be able to forgive myself." Night Sorrow looked at Wu Lingfei and said. He was really afraid that he had arrived too late. He was afraid that something would happen to Wu Lingfei. When he arrived, he saw that Wu Lingfei was still fighting. Night Sorrow felt a lot more at ease. As long as she was still alive, he didn't need to worry. Everything was not too late. Everything could be done in time. Night Sorrow, don't think too much. This time, Auntie Fei's luck was a bit bad. "It's nothing," Wu Lingfei said. Night Sorrow sighed. Now was the tribulation of the 9 regions world. Everyone needed to fight. Although he was worried, he couldn't let anyone withdraw from the battle. At this time, his parents were fighting in front. "It's really nothing." Wu Lingfei supported herself on the bed and was about to stand up. "Auntie Fei, don't move. Rest for a few days first." Night Sorrow hurriedly helped Wu Lingfei lie down on the bed to rest. Seeing that Wu Lingfei was resting, Night Sorrow came out of the tent and looked at the situation of the other god-slaying team. After asking, Night Sorrow found out that fortunately, Tianyu and Yimei were fast and could save the others. Yun Huang, Liang Yu, and Ling Long were also strong and could help the others. That was why no one had died. Night Sorrow was a bit glad that none of his brothers or sisters had died. Otherwise, it would be hard for him to accept. After letting everyone rest, Night Sorrow found Lu Qin and told her to inform all the teams that they were not allowed to leave the big tent. Lu Qin nodded. She already knew that Wu Ling Concubine's team had almost met with a problem. Now, Night Sorrow had made such arrangements so that they could be rescued in time. In addition, Yi Shang also left Zhu Jiuyun at the campsite. This way, when he went out to help, Zhu Jiuyun would be able to hold on for a while and buy time for him to rush over when the other teams were in trouble. In the following period of time, Night Sorrow became busy because the deeper they went, the stronger the life forms in the evil world. Not to mention the half-step king, even if a peak stage Saint King appeared, it would be a threat to the team that went out to battle. Night Sorrow's command tent was also constantly moving forward. All the teams that went out to fight were fanned out with the command tent as the center. They couldn't be too far away, because Night Sorrow was worried that he wouldn't be able to rescue them in time. The area of the evil world was about the same as the Nine Regions world. Even if they advanced 10,000 miles every day, it wouldn't be enough to clear it out. But now, Night Sorrow didn't have a good idea. After thinking for a while, Night Sorrow thought of another way. He took out all the poison materials he collected in the boundless soul world and refined them into poison. He also refined the corresponding antidote. Then, under Night Sorrow's arrangement, Lu Qin distributed the poison and antidote pills. In addition, Night Sorrow made a batch of soul crystals and gave them to the teams that went out. This way, the group would be further away from the command tent. Night Sorrow calculated for a moment. With the poison stalling for time, he would be able to fly 15,000 kilometers in an hour. This meant that he would be able to provide support within 15,000 kilometers. In the following days, although Night Sorrow didn't take the initiative to go out to battle, he was still the busiest and most tired. The teams led by Yi Qianhua, Yi Tian, Long Xiansheng, Xian Wenxiu, Xue Shi, Wu Lingfei, and the others needed Night Sorrow to go out and support them every day. At such a distance, Zhu Jiuyun's support couldn't keep up. She also led people out to battle. Night Sorrow realized that compared to the evil world, the strength of the cultivators in the Nine Regions world was still lacking. The Nine Regions world was much weaker. They could fight now because the people of the Nine Regions world were like a rope, clenched into a fist. In comparison, the power of the evil world was scattered. As for which level was weaker, Night Sorrow already had a feeling. The Nine Regions world was still okay for the saints and paragons, but the Saint Kings were not good. The quantity and quality could not keep up. However, Night Sorrow also knew that the current situation of the Nine Regions world was already very good. One had to know that 10,000 years ago, there were only 3 Saint Kings. After spending every day flying and rescuing people, Night Sorrow was also a little tired, but he had to persevere. The people of the Nine Regions world were also heavily injured and had died in battle. Night Sorrow's heart ached, but there was nothing he could do about it. When there was war, there would be death. Night Sorrow hoped and worked hard to reduce the number of deaths. After all, these were the elites of the Nine Regions world, and they were all elites who were willing to fight to the death for the Nine Regions world. They were all worthy of respect. When Xue Shi was injured, Night Sorrow's heart ached. However, he could only endure this pain because the battle had to continue. The battle had been going on for half a year, and dozens of people had died in battle, including a few saints. The Saint Kings had not fallen because Night Sorrow had been able to rescue them in time every time. Night Sorrow arranged for Xue Shi to go to Big Dipper City to find Beixing and ask him to help buy poison materials. He also notified Qian Qiangwei and Qian Yu. He believed that they would help him. Part 2 Chapter THRE Night Sorrow was a person, and there were things that he could not do. However, it was war now, and war meant that there was nothing he could not do. Everything was for the sake of victory. Night Sorrow respected and cared about the lives around him. Even if he lost his reputation, he had to protect the lives of the people of the Nine Regions world. As for the use of poison, Night Sorrow had emphasized that it was used to save lives and to stall for time. Beixing was very worried and anxious about the war in the Nine Regions world. If Night Sorrow had any news, she would immediately help. As for the various sovereigns' operation to capture Night Sorrow, it was still in progress. However, it was mainly carried out in the Yanmen sect. Other than Beixing and a few others, no one knew that Night Sorrow was no longer in the sky profound world. With people dying in battle, Night Sorrow's heart ached. His main body was still in a state of enlightenment, and this made him feel helpless. Night Sorrow's main body was much stronger than his doppelganger. He also had a king artifact in his hands, which could increase the power of his attacks. Half a year had passed, and the 9 Regions World's team had advanced 7 million miles. They had killed countless evil lives. Night Sorrow had killed dozens of peak stage Saint Kings and half-step King Saints. Although he did not lead a team to battle, Night Sorrow's efficiency was the highest. On this day, Night Sorrow was drinking tea when he felt his soul crystal shatter. Following that, he quickly flew in the direction he sensed. Although he did not know which team it was, Night Sorrow was very anxious. This was because unless it was extremely urgent, no one would be willing to ask for help. Night Sorrow's help was to save lives. Using Night Sorrow's help could lead to the deaths of members of the other teams. After rushing to the scene, Night Sorrow's eyes were filled with rage. This was because Night Moon's team was in trouble. His left arm was broken, and his ribs were exposed. Chapter 1069. Yi Tian was heavily injured, and Yi Linghuan was also injured. With a flash of his body, Yi Shang began to slaughter this peak stage Saint King. After a few moves, the team led by this peak Saint King was destroyed by Night Sorrow. Then, he gave Yi Tian and Yi Linghuan the life spirit liquid and healing pills. Then, he brought the group back to the command tent and arranged for people to start treating them. Fortunately, they were all external injuries. It would only take a few days to recover. Commander, these are all external injuries. We have poison to protect ourselves. We have enough time to ask for help, Yi Tian said. Night Sorrow nodded. He was very relieved that no important people had died. Worried, Yi Shang was still worried in his heart. If one walked by the river often, they would lose their shoes. After thinking for a while, Night Sorrow communicated with the Dragon Cauldron and went to Yi Qianhua's team that had returned. Night Sorrow's 3 wives and parents were in Yi Qianhua's team. Holding the Dragon Cauldron, Night Sorrow handed it to Sikong Chiyu. I communicated with the Dragon Cauldron. Now, take it and use it. No. This is your protective treasure. It can't reduce your battle power. Sikong Chiyu shook her head and did not take the Dragon Cauldron. Take it. This is not just for you, but for my parents and family. My body's defense is very high. Saint Kings can't break it at all. Also, take this 7 extremes poison smoke. Night Sorrow gave the 7 extremes poison smoke and the antidote to Sikong Chiyu. Night Sorrow did not feel that he was being selfish with this arrangement. He had done his best for the 9 Regions world. In order to not let the people of the 9 Regions world die, he had also done his best. Night Sorrow valued his family the most. He had also taken out his own resources and protective treasures. After thinking for a while, Sikong Chiyu did not refuse because she knew that this was not her problem. It concerned the whole family. After making the arrangements, Night Sorrow felt at ease. The battle continued. The battlefield continued to advance rapidly. Night Sorrow went out to help every day. The main members did not die, but injuries were inevitable. The people of the 9 domains world were resilient. After recovering from their injuries, they would continue fighting. As the battle progressed, Night Sorrow's avatar in the Heaven Sealing Hall felt more relaxed. Once the evil world's life forms were destroyed, the world's origin power would decrease, and the impact on the 9 domains world would weaken. The origin of a world was closely related to the life within the world. A barren, lifeless world would have extremely weak origin power. As the evil world's origin power weakened, the impact it had on the 9 domains world weakened as well. In other words, there was more and more time. Under such circumstances, Night Sorrow decided to change tactics. When all the teams returned at night, he gathered everyone together. Commander, do you have any orders? Long Xiansheng asked. I plan to change my strategy. We need to be more stable. Knight Sorrow nodded and spoke his thoughts. Commander, we know that you are doing this for everyone's good, but this is a war between worlds. It is everyone's business. Everyone has the determination and belief to die in battle. Xian Wenxiu said. Let me talk about the current situation first. Because our killing effect is significant, the evil world's origin power has weakened by 20%. Even if we don't achieve anything in the future, my avatar can control the heaven sealing hall and suppress the evil world for 5 years. We will have more results in the future, so this time will be longer and longer. Therefore, we need to be more stable and avoid unnecessary sacrifices. This is the problem that we need to consider. Knight Sorrow explained the current situation. So that's the case. What are your plans? Wu Lingfei asked. Above, I will first clean up the area where you will lead the team to fight. I will clean up the evil creatures above the Saint King rank. After that, you will lead the team to clean up. Knight Sorrow said his plan. This will slow down the cleaning speed. Taishu Yen thought of the drawbacks. It will slow down by a third, close to half the speed. However, this is within our acceptable range. Knight Sorrow said. At this time, everyone nodded. This tactic was correct. The only drawback was that Knight Sorrow would have to work a lot harder. After that, while everyone was resting, Knight Sorrow spread out in a fan shape with the camp as the center and explored a distance of 30,000 kilometers. This exploration lasted for about half a day. After Knight Sorrow returned, he sat down to meditate and recover. The other teams then began to fight. The situation today was very good. There were no requests for reinforcements. Commander, this is not bad. You wasted time exploring and cleaning up the hard bones, but you also wasted time in providing reinforcements. Lu Qin came to Knight Sorrow's tent. And, that is indeed the case. I will continue to explore. If there is a request for reinforcements, I will rush over in time. After Yishan finished speaking, he continued to investigate. Lu Qin had arranged for the advancement of the campsite, so it was also a straight line. The other teams would also gather at the new campsite. After flying for 30,000 kilometers and reaching the critical point of yesterday's exploration, Knight Sorrow began a new round of exploration. The following battles were carried out according to Knight Sorrow's current tactics. Everything was going smoothly. Everyone knew that Knight Sorrow had put in a lot of effort in order for this to go smoothly. Knight Sorrow went out to fight every day and explored a large area. What made him regretful was that the evil world was a calamity for the 9-domain world. There were no resources to be obtained or collected. The only thing he could do when he went out was to fight. Knight Sorrow felt that his hard work was worth it in exchange for the safety of the other teams. When Knight Sorrow was fighting for the 9-domain world, many people in the profound sky world were very depressed. This was because they couldn't find any traces of Knight Sorrow. If they couldn't find any traces of Knight Sorrow, then the junior king who was investigating Knight Sorrow wouldn't be able to answer to his superiors. Only Bei Xing knew what was going on. She had been secretly laughing. She felt that everyone who looked for Knight Sorrow was a little stupid. There were no smart people. She also knew that the people involved couldn't see clearly. They were all blinded by benefits. As Knight Sorrow's trusted friend, Bei Xing was doing everything that Knight Sorrow couldn't do. Big Dipper City's people were already collecting poisons all over the profound celestial realm for Knight Sorrow. In addition, Bei Xing was also helping Shang Luo with the construction of 7 Night Cities' resources. Big Dipper King supported his daughter's actions. He thought highly of Knight Sorrow, so he was also willing to help Knight Sorrow on his path of growth. The Zhangyan monarch was very angry. Now was the best time to deal with Knight Sorrow. If he could capture Knight Sorrow, there was a possibility of obtaining the soul-cultivating liquid. In addition, killing Knight Sorrow's doppelganger could affect Knight Sorrow's main body. If this continued, Knight Sorrow could very well take the step to become a king. All the sovereigns knew that Knight Sorrow had already comprehended 90% of the will of space. As long as he kicked out again, he would become a king of space. No one would have thought that Knight Sorrow was currently studying the will of time and had even reached the entry level. Tianding Gate. Elder Xiang's doppelganger was guarding the Tianding Gate, while his main body was at Danding Peak. He wouldn't allow any king to enter the Tianding Gate. The Medicine Valley, which was now Danding Peak, was a branch of the Tianding Gate. He naturally had to protect it well. The second update has arrived. I'm going out with my family for a walk. It might take a week. I'm an author, but I'm also a son, a husband, and a father. My family is more important than anything else in my heart. I'll do my best to ensure that the updates are timely. I'll also write when I'm at the hotel. 4 updates a day is not a low number, so don't force me to update more. Chapter 1070. With old Xiang there, no one who was looking for Knight Sorrow could go to the Tianding Gate to cause trouble. If old Xiang didn't let anyone enter the Tianding Gate, who could force their way into Danding Peak? Forcing their way in would lead to a battle. If a king was no match for old Xiang and was killed, could the monarchs behind them step in? The mysterious sky monarch of the profound sky world wouldn't just stand by and watch. If a king from another world caused trouble for another king in the profound sky world and was killed, no one could do anything about it. The mysterious sky monarch wasn't a good-tempered person either. Second sister, I wonder where that brother of ours ran off to. He really knows how to hide. Qian Yu and Qian Qiangwei were drinking tea together in Shantian Sky City's Qian Qiangwei's residence. Who knows? He's so good at hiding. If he wants to hide, he'll definitely hide well. This is a good thing. When his original body in the 9 Heavens Pagoda comprehends something, he'll be a king. A king won't be able to do anything to him, Qian Qiangwei said. Gap. Slowly, the gap between us will grow. I'm also going to cultivate in the heaven and earth manner. If he's a king and we're saint kings, we won't be able to play together even if we want to, Qian Yu said. Go. We'll have to pass this hurdle eventually. Although many saint kings in the history of our Shantian Sky dynasty haven't been able to take this step, the great ancestors said that our Shantian Sky dynasty will usher in a period of rapid development. Perhaps we can do it. Qian Qiangwei nodded. Most of the direct descendants of the Shantian Sky dynasty were of the wind and lightning attribute. They had a secret place of the dynasty, the heaven and earth manor where the will of wind and lightning manifested. In the blink of an eye, a year had passed. The war in the 9 regions world had gone smoothly. Knight Sorrow's heart had calmed down a lot because he felt that the suppression of his clone in the Heaven Sealing Hall wasn't so difficult anymore. Yishang arranged for Lu Qin to have the people from the 9 regions deliver some food and wine so that everyone could rest for half a month. Everyone could endure a year of high-intensity battle, but physical and mental exhaustion was unavoidable. This could be considered a small celebration, but the effect of a year's battle was very obvious. Because the teleportation array could keep up, teleporting to the 9 domains world was very convenient. Every once in a while, Shang Luo would report to Knight Sorrow about the situation. The construction of 7 Night City was going smoothly. Now that the main city was completed, they had begun to construct the subsidiary districts such as the Exchange Street. Knight Sorrow's advice to Shang Luo was that they had to finish building a part of the city. As for the living quarters, they could take their time. There weren't that many people going to the 9 regions world right now, and they wouldn't be able to use a city that was too big. While everyone was resting, Knight Sorrow continued his investigation. Due to his speed and his powerful soul power, Knight Sorrow's investigation speed was relatively fast. Knight Sorrow told everyone to rest. He didn't rest because he wanted to catch up on the progress of his scouting. That way, he would be able to scout at the front of the team every day. After resting for half a month, the 9-domain world team continued to advance in a fan-shaped formation. The 9-domain world had opened a path towards the center of the evil world. That way, after killing the evil world's forces, the world's source energy would appear. If the world's source energy was destroyed, the threat of the evil world would disappear, and the calamity would be over. Night Sorrow's ability to link up battle skills was becoming stronger and stronger. He had become more proficient in using the 3 types of energy, and he was able to link up battle skills whenever he attacked. Night Sorrow's battle skills had become more proficient, and so had the others. Fighting was the best way to train one's strength. This was what Night Sorrow felt the most gratified about. While resolving the crisis, the 9 domain world's cultivators had become stronger. Night Sorrow didn't feel helpless about those who died in battle. After all, this was fate, and he could only do so much for now. As more and more of the evil world's creatures were killed, the pressure on the 9 domain world became less and less. Night Sorrow wasn't in a hurry. Stabilizing and reducing losses was the most important thing. After chatting with his family for a day, Night Sorrow once again began his investigation. After traveling over 20,000 li, Night Sorrow was surrounded. That's right, he was surrounded. It was a team led by a woman in red. The woman in red was a king, a 1-star king. The people she led were all saint kings. After blocking Night Sorrow, the group of players began to surround and kill Night Sorrow. Yongf Jujip watch for free. As the woman waved her long sword, the Thunder Monarch sword Chi, which contained black flames and thunder energy, sliced towards Yi Sorrow. The will of space was added to his protective barrier. He dodged the attack of the red-clothed woman and attacked her subordinates. Night Sorrow's speed was his advantage. The red-clothed woman's speed was very fast, but there was still a gap between her and Night Sorrow. She could only chase after Night Sorrow. While moving quickly, Night Sorrow moved quickly and continuously killed the people led by the red-clothed woman. A quarter of an hour later, only the woman in red was left. Yi Chang had expended a lot of energy in battle, but so did the woman. She had been madly attacking Yi Chang with sword Qi. Although she had missed, she had still expended a lot of energy. After killing all of the red-clothed woman's subordinates, Night Sorrow's next target was the red-clothed woman. With the will of space and the space law's innate bloodline protective barrier, Night Sorrow's speed reached an extreme. He constantly attacked with the space rend. However, the woman was very strong. She was even stronger than the 2-star King Yan Qingfeng that Night Sorrow had met. This was because the woman had a movement technique. Her body was very agile. In addition, her attacks also contained energy techniques. Night Sorrow had never seen the red-clothed woman's technique before. It was a slippery stickiness. When Night Sorrow attacked her sword, her energy was able to stick to Night Sorrow's violent energy. She was also able to deflect it. "Who are you?" Night Sorrow asked as he fought. "Red-clothed." The red-clothed woman threw out 2 words. "Your existence is to attack the 9-domain world." Night Sorrow asked as he attacked with the space rend. "My existence is to fight. I will kill the invaders and then destroy your world," the red-clothed woman said coldly. "Then I'll have to kill you first." Night Sorrow growled. He used the space rend and attacked the red-clothed woman. This woman was too difficult to deal with. Night Sorrow had no choice but to use his ultimate move. With the support of the will of space and the space law, Night Sorrow's space rend reached a certain level of speed. The red-clothed woman dodged the space rend attack. However, she was met with Night Sorrow's space-twisting dragon kill. Following a muffled sound, the red-clothed woman, who could no longer dodge the space rend, was bombarded by Night Sorrow's violent attack. She was sent flying. At this time, Night Sorrow's soul-extinguishing slash was activated. He directly attacked the red-clothed woman. A threat. Night Sorrow knew that the red-clothed woman was a big threat. He had to get rid of her. Otherwise, the other teams would be wiped out. Chapter 1071. Red Spectre's body had been sent flying by Night Sorrow. Of course, she couldn't dodge Night Sorrow's soul destruction slash. The crescent moon slashed directly into her spirit sea. At that moment, a dark purple soul power appeared in Red Spectre's spirit sea. It wrapped around Night Sorrow's soul destruction slash. But Night Sorrow's soul destruction slash was not so easy to block. It kept vibrating and attacking Red Spectre's spirit sea. While Red Spectre's soul power was blocking Night Sorrow's soul destruction slash, Night Sorrow rushed forward and stabbed Red Spectre's head. When Sky Splitter was about to reach Red Coat's forehead, Night Sorrow suddenly changed his mind. Sky Splitter paused for a moment before two reverberations broke Red Coat's arms. Then, he sent his Void True Chi into Red Coat's Dantian, which had no power to resist, to control Red Coat's True Chi. What the Nine Zones world lacked was powerful cultivators. If he could subdue Red Spectre, it would be a huge help. It could change the situation. After restraining Red Spectre's combat power, Night Sorrow's soul destruction slash continued to attack Red Spectre's spirit sea. Red Spectre was in full defense, while Night Sorrow was in full attack. The two of them entered a war of attrition. Night Sorrow's soul destruction slash was very condensed. Red Spectre's soul power could not block it. A moment later, it rushed to Red Spectre's spirit sea. When Red Spectre gave up and waited for death, Night Sorrow's soul destruction slash hit her spirit sea. When Red Spectre's spirit sea was defenseless, Night Sorrow's soul power entered Red Spectre's spirit sea. It was a success. Night Sorrow knew that he had Red Spectre under control, but subduing her would be very difficult. After all, Red Spectre was king. Damn it! What did you do to me? After everything calmed down, Red Spectre roared at Night Sorrow. I didn't do anything. I just took control of your soul orb. In the future, you'll have to fight for me. Night Sorrow looked at Red Shirt and stated his goal. Impossible. Red Dress stared at Night Sorrow with bloodshot eyes. It was clear that she was furious. It's not up to you to decide whether it's possible or not. It depends on the facts. Night Sorrow then shook the soul power he had left in the red cloth pearl. This time, Night Sorrow's tremor caused Red Coat to let out a miserable cry. Night Sorrow looked at Red Coat and said, "What I'm doing might be immoral, but for the sake of my homeland and the people of the 9 regions world, I'm willing to accept any blame. Your world can't win. You can't win. Do you know that?" Red Shirt shouted at Night Sorrow hysterically. "I am confident that I can win, so no matter how difficult it is, I will fight on," Night Sorrow said. "I'm just a commander. There are a few more commanders like me in the evil spirit world. The most important one is the evil spirit king. The evil spirit king is invincible." Red Shirt looked at Night Sorrow and said, "Invincible? There is no invincible opponent in this world. As long as you have confidence, there is nothing you can't do," Night Sorrow said. The evil spirit world is connected to the evil spirit abyss. The evil spirit king is the master of the evil spirit abyss and the ruler of the evil spirit world. You will lose without a doubt. The evil spirit world will definitely destroy your world. Red Shirt looked at Night Sorrow and said something that Night Sorrow didn't know. Narrowing his eyes, Night Sorrow used the soul power he had left in the red cloth pearl to search Red Shirt's memories. As he searched, Night Sorrow learned more. The evil spirit world that the people of the 9 regions world called the evil spirit world was actually called the evil spirit world. All life was born from energy and then given flesh and blood and intelligence by the heavenly Tao. Red Shirt's memories were very short. It was less than 3 years of memories. In other words, she had only been sentient for 3 years. Look, he's right. P. Edition chapter. However, the evil spirit king was not. It existed before Red Shirt, but Red Shirt did not know exactly how old it was and how strong it was. There were 9 commanders in the evil spirit world who were at the same level as Red Shirt. Red Shirt's cultivation was low, but her battle strength was in the middle of the 9 commanders. Reaching out to grab Red Shirt, Night Sorrow returned to the camp. Ignoring everyone's shock, Night Sorrow brought Red Shirt into his tent. "Who is she?" Sikong Chuyu asked. Night Sorrow waved his hand at Sikong Chuyu and then looked at Red Shirt. "I'll talk to you now. You have intelligence and can distinguish things better than other life forms. Your god Pearl is controlled, so you have no power to speak of. When I tortured you, you could hold on for a while, but in the end, you still gave in. It was a painful process. Hearing Night Sorrow's words, Red Shirt looked at Night Sorrow and did not refute because Night Sorrow was telling the truth. Then let's talk about what you'll have to pay and what you'll get in return. If you submit, you'll fight alongside us. What I can promise is that you won't be cannon fodder. After we win the 9 Regions world, as long as you don't harm the 9 Regions world, I won't ask you anything, Night Sorrow said to Red Robe. Victory for the 9 Regions world. What power does the 9 Regions world have to win? I know the power of the 9 Regions world. In every commander's mind, there is information about the 9 Regions world from the heavens. There is only one half-step king. How can you win? Red Shirt looked at Night Sorrow and said. Although you are a being of the heavens, you know a little about cultivators. I have cultivated for more than 100 years and reached the half-step king in just over 100 years. I have comprehended the will of space and time. As long as I enter the king realm, I have a chance of winning. Night Sorrow said and showed his 2 types of will to Red Shirt. One with 90% will and the other with 70% will. Both of you have a chance of entering the king realm. Red Shirt looked at Night Sorrow and said. I'm talking to you because I don't want our relationship to be strained. I have plenty of tricks up my sleeve. For the 9 domains world, I'm willing to do anything despicable. You have to understand this. You can choose whether to submit or not. To me, the only difference is the process. The result is the same, and the result is the same for you. It's just that there will be more embarrassing and unbearable experiences, Night Sorrow said to Red Coat. Then what do you say? Red Shirt looked at Night Sorrow and said. Of course. As long as you fight for the 9 Regions world, after this war, as long as you do not threaten the 9 Regions world, I will not ask you anything. Night Sorrow nodded. Deal. Let's swear an oath to the heavens. Red Shirt exhaled and said. Night Sorrow reached out his right hand and swore an oath to the heavens. Red Shirt did the same. Hearing Red Shirt's heavenly Tao oath, Yishang let out a sigh of relief. Although he knew that Red Shirt was a heavenly Tao life form and was the most rational and would make the most appropriate decision, Yishang was still worried that Red Shirt would not submit. Now that he had subdued Red Shirt, he felt a lot more at ease. What do you think of this war? Night Sorrow asked. Currently, we can only fight in the outer area. The core area is not good enough. We are not strong enough. Among the commanders, there are 3 that we cannot defeat. If we fight them head-on, we will only increase our casualties. Chapter 1072. In other words, we're not strong enough. Night Sorrow slapped his forehead. That's right. The 3 commanders are mid-level monarchs. We definitely won't be able to defeat them, Blood Robes expressed his opinion. I understand, but we still have to kill. If we don't destroy the evil spirit world, the evil spirit world will have a strong impact on the 9-domain world. We have to kill until the evil spirit world can't break through the 9-domain world. Only then can we fight steadily. Now, let's go and subdue the other low-level king commanders, Night Sorrow said. Looking at Yishang, Red Coat said, among the 9 commanders, there is one more who is like me. There is a chance that he will be subdued by you, but the others are not. Looking at Yishang, Red Coat's words made Yishang's heart turn cold. Night Sorrow originally planned to use the same method he used to subdue Red Robe to deal with the other commanders. But now, Red Robe's words made his plan fall through. Among the 9 commanders, 7 of them are dark energy beings. Without the divine orb, we can't control them. The other one is Lanning. She's in the same situation as me, Blood Robe explained to Night Sorrow. I understand. Let's hurry up and deal with Lanning first. Then, we'll try to eliminate the other commanders. After that, we'll rest. Night Sorrow thought for a while and made a decision. Then I can take you to Lanning. I know where the other commanders are, but they don't stay in the same place. It's hard to say if we can find them, Red Robe said. You rest first. Once you're done, we'll set off, Night Sorrow said to Red Robe. Night Sorrow arranged for Red Robe to stay in Aoi's tent. Then, he went to the command tent. In the command tent, a group of people were talking. Because they were too deep and their opponents were too strong, most of them were injured. Commander, did you just bring back a king? Zhu Jillian asked. Yes, I just convinced her. She's willing to work for our 9-domain world. In addition, I also found out some information about the evil world. This world is called the Evil Spirit World. Other than the strongest evil spirit king, there are also 9 kings. We can't fight them head-on. Night Sorrow sighed. Originally, Night Sorrow had thought that the evil spirit world and the 9-domain world's strength were on par, but now, that was not the case. The evil spirit world was much stronger than the 9-domain world. Does the commander have any ideas? Tai Shu Yan asked. I have some ideas. There aren't many craters left in the area we cleared. Some small teams can go back and continue killing. High-level saints and saint kings can stay behind. I'll lead a team to kill them in the future. Night Sorrow decided to take the elite route. This way, killing enemies might be slower, but it was definitely safer. That's good too. Long Xianqing nodded. I'll be in charge here. City Lord Lu Qin will be in charge of the team we're going to kill. Saint King Zhu will be in charge of the rescue. We can't afford to make any mistakes, Night Sorrow said. I'll still fight with you. After all, I can also increase my strength, Zhu Jillian said. Rescue is very important. A successful rescue can save many elites of our 9-domain world. We can't afford to make any mistakes. I'll be fine, Night Sorrow said. He understood that Zhu Jillian was worried about his safety. After the meeting, Night Sorrow encountered a new problem. Lu Qin arranged for people to retreat, but Yi Wuyo, Yu Qing, and his 3 wives were unwilling to leave. They wanted to fight with Night Sorrow. Bring us along. We want to live and die together, Sikong Chuyu said as she looked at Night Sorrow. Okay, we'll live and die together. Night Sorrow stepped forward and pulled Sikong Chuyu, whose beautiful face was filled with determination, into his embrace. After that, Night Sorrow gave Yang Lei and Aoi each a hug. Along the way, Night Sorrow felt that he had not let down anyone. He had not let down the 9-domain world, he had not let down the entire world. However, he felt that he had let down the women by his side. He had not given them a single day of peace. Son, you're the best. There won't be any problems, Yu Qing said. Father, you're the leader of the Night Moon Empire. Why don't you come with us? Night Sorrow looked at Yi Wuyo and said. Ha! There are some things that you don't know. Right now, a lot of Night Moon's matters are being handled by your sister. Later on, the position of ruler will be passed to her, Yi Wuyo said with a smile. Night Sorrow nodded. This time, Yin Yanxiao had been with Lu Qin the entire time. She had helped Lu Qin mobilize and control the movements of the troops. She was very good at controlling the overall situation. Right now, she had already led the second echelon of troops to retreat with Lu Qin. Then I support father and mother's decision. We'll go out and resolve some of the problems that can be resolved, Night Sorrow said. Night Sorrow did not immediately arrange for them to go out because Xian Wenxiu and Yi Tian were injured. Hong Yi also needed to rest. Aren't you in a hurry? Hong Yi asked after hearing Night Sorrow's arrangements. No hurry. There's still time. Even if we stop fighting right now, my clone can control the 9-domain sources to suppress the evil spirit realm for 5 years. If we make some achievements, this time will be extended, Night Sorrow said. So what if it's extended? It still won't resolve the fundamental problem. Hong Yi did not want Night Sorrow to fail. She did not want the 9-domain world to fail. She still needed freedom. Fundamental problem. This time is enough for me to rush to the king's realm. Night Sorrow clenched his fist and said. Actually, in Night Sorrow's heart, those mid-level king realm commanders were not scary. The problem was the evil spirit king whose strength even Hong Yi did not know. Are you that confident? Hong Yi looked at Night Sorrow and asked. I believe in myself. Night Sorrow nodded. Right now, I can only choose to believe in you. Hong Yi had no other choice now because she and Night Sorrow, as well as the 9-domain world, were bound together for good or ill. Believe in me. One day, you will be glad for today's decision. Night Sorrow said with a smile. Z main. Version. Night Sorrow was very confident in himself. He had comprehended 70% of the will of time in a single moment of enlightenment. He was still in the process of comprehending it and could enter the king's realm at any time. He also knew that if his original body did not comprehend it, it would not be as stable as it was now. In other words, his original body was in the process of reaping the benefits. As for when the benefits would turn into strength, he would have to wait. Seeing Night Sorrow enter the tent, Hong Yi was a little stunned. Although she had only been sentient for a short time, she still had some common sense. Don't be surprised. Night Sorrow has never disappointed anyone. Never, Yang Lei said to Hong Yi. After entering the tent, Night Sorrow brewed a pot of tea. It was heart-cleansing tea. Soul-nurturing tea was good tea, but Night Sorrow did not want to waste it. Soul-nurturing tea was also effective for his doppelganger. It could stabilize the soul, but it could not increase its level. Because his original body did not increase, he only drank it once with Lord Xian Tian and did not use it again. He wanted to save it for his original body. Night Sorrow, don't feel pressured. There is nothing that cannot be solved. There are always more solutions than difficulties. Wu Lingfei entered Night Sorrow's tent. Okay, I understand. I don't feel pressured now. Night Sorrow nodded. Chapter 1073. Actually, everyone wants to share your burden, but we don't have the ability to. Wu Lingfei looked apologetic. Auntie Fei, be careful in the future. I don't want to see you injured again, Night Sorrow said to Wu Lingfei. Auntie Fei understands. Don't worry. We'll be fighting right under your nose, so you don't have to worry, Wu Lingfei said with a smile. Then I'm relieved. Night Sorrow nodded. In Night Sorrow's heart, Wu Lingfei was as important as family. He didn't want her to be in any danger. Night Sorrow drank tea while everyone was cultivating. Before his cultivation level increased, there was no room for improvement. However, it wasn't the same for the others. After intense battles, there was a lot of room for improvement. Night Sorrow gave everyone 5 days to rest. Then, he put everyone into the dragon cauldron that Sikong Chuyu had returned to him. Then, he took Red and flew into the depths of the evil spirit world. On the way, Night Sorrow often attacked. When he saw evil beings above the Saint Realm, he would kill them. Killing some Saint Realm beings would damage the evil spirit world's origin, and the impact on the 9 domains world would be much smaller. After traveling for half a month, Red Dress told Night Sorrow that they had entered an area led by a man called Iron Marquis. Iron Marquis was a 2-star king, but his battle strength was about the same as hers. Night Sorrow was confident in this situation. As long as he wasn't much stronger than Red Dress, he would be able to fight. After searching for 4 days, Night Sorrow found Iron Marquis wearing cold iron armor. Red Dress, why are you with someone from another world? Have you become a traitor of the evil spirit world? Iron Marquis, who was wearing cold iron armor and holding iron, shouted at Red Dress. Don't make it sound so bad. Those who win are kings and those who lose are thieves. I've lost, Red Shirt said. Then all of you can die. Iron Marquis waved his hand, and the Saint King team behind him charged at Night Sorrow. His target was Red Dress, so he didn't care about Night Sorrow at all. Be careful. Everyone, kill. Night Sorrow waved his left arm and released everyone from the dragon cauldron. Then, he used Cut to block Iron Marquis' path to attack Red Coat. He then used space-twisting dragon kill to attack Redcoat. Bang! With a muffled sound, Marquis Tai was blasted back by Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow also retreated a distance. Even with Night Sorrow's Will of Time and Time Law's support, Marquis Tai's attack was still very strong. In addition, Night Sorrow's attack was somewhat hasty. At that moment, the Red Spectre swung his long sword and arrived beside Night Sorrow. Redcoat, thank you very much. However, this is my battle. If I can't take him down, I won't be able to bring the 9-domain world to victory. Help me destroy the other minions. Night Sorrow extended his left arm to block Redcoat. Redcoat looked at Night Sorrow, and her heart wavered. She was somewhat impressed by Night Sorrow. At this moment, Night Sorrow could have let her charge at the front. Today, all of you will die. Iron Marquis roared and swung his iron towards Night Sorrow. None of us will die. The one who will die is you. Night Sorrow waved his space-twisting dragon and used Desolation Absolute Kill. Iron Marquis wasn't afraid of Night Sorrow, who was a half-step king. The iron in his hand, or rather, the frost iron, was used to attack Night Sorrow. As the two weapons approached, the image of time flowing appeared on Night Sorrow's space-twisting dragon. With the Will of Time and Time Law's support, the time acceleration effect was very powerful. Iron Marquis's frost iron lost a portion of its energy. It was about the same as Night Sorrow's attack. The two weapons clashed, and the two separated again. However, this time, Iron Marquis retreated far away. After repelling Iron Marquis, Night Sorrow's protective shield slashed forward and caught up to Iron Marquis. He swung his space-twisting dragon again. Iron Marquis stared and swung his frost iron towards Night Sorrow's space-twisting dragon. Following an explosion, Iron Marquis's frost iron was knocked back. At this moment, Night Sorrow and Iron Marquis's weapons had exhausted their energy. However, Night Sorrow's power of desolation followed up and used Shockwave. At this moment, Iron Marquis's energy had been exhausted. Before he could use his new energy, he couldn't withstand Night Sorrow's attack. He was sent flying by Night Sorrow's powerful shockwave. His body was trembling non-stop. At this moment, Night Sorrow used Space-Twisting Dragon and slashed towards Iron Marquis. With the support of the Will of Space and Space Law, the Space-Twisting Dragon was extremely fast. It arrived in front of Iron Marquis in an instant. Iron Marquis's eyes were about to pop out. He roared and the Will of Wind burst forth. He used the wind energy to block in front of him. Iron Marquis's energy blocked the space and didn't get cut in half. However, his body was still sent flying and he vomited blood. He was severely injured. Soul Extinguishing Slash. When Iron Marquis's blood and chi were shaken and his condition was declining, Night Sorrow used his killer move. Hong Yi had said that other than the other commander, Lan Ning, the other commanders couldn't be subdued. Therefore, Night Sorrow used his killer move. The crescent blade of Soul Extinguishing Slash cut into Iron Marquis's spirit sea. When Iron Marquis's mind was in a daze, Night Sorrow swung his space-twisting dragon. The space-twisting dragon sliced Iron Marquis's head in half. Although there were no divine pearls, Iron Marquis's head was cut in half and his spirit sea was cut. He couldn't be more dead. Picking up Iron Marquis's frost iron, he looked at it and found that it was a saint artifact. Looking around, Night Sorrow saw that the battle was still going on. However, he didn't plan to interfere. Everyone needed to train. As long as there was no danger to their lives, he wouldn't care. The only one who was legitimate. The others were pirated. After Hong Yi killed the strongest Saint King, Night Sorrow stopped her from continuing to attack. Watch them. Don't get severely injured. Don't get killed. Hong Yi nodded. At this moment, she was very impressed with Night Sorrow. Iron Marquis, a 2-star king, was killed by Night Sorrow in a short moment. It was faster than her killing a peak stage Saint King. There were very few Saint Kings in the 9 regions world. Their levels were also low. However, their ability to fight together was strong. Therefore, there wasn't much danger. After the battle ended, Night Sorrow nodded with satisfaction. He was quite satisfied with the results of the battle. Everyone, enter the dragon cauldron to recuperate. Let's hurry to the next destination. Night Sorrow nodded to everyone. Then, he put everyone into the dragon cauldron. Let's move horizontally. The next commander of the territory should be Copper Arm. He's about the same as Iron Marquis. We can still kill him. After dealing with Copper Arm, we'll be close to Lan Ying's territory, Hong Yi said to Night Sorrow. Okay, we'll deal with all the commanders that we can. Then, we'll return to the 9 regions world, Night Sorrow said. Night Sorrow felt that killing half of the king-level evil spirits of the evil spirit world would cause great damage to the origin of the evil spirit world. The impact of the evil spirit world on the 9 regions world would be less. It would be more stable. Hong Yi, after we subdue Lan Ying, do you think the 3 of us can kill the mid-level king commander? Night Sorrow looked at Hong Yi and asked. Chapter 1074. Night Sorrow, I'm not sure. You should know that the difference between a junior king and an intermediate king is huge. Numbers may not be effective, and it's very risky. Hong Yi thought about it and said. You're right. Let's wait until we're confident. You lead the way, and we'll take care of a few junior king. Night Sorrow nodded. He felt that Hong Yi's opinion was conservative, but it was also stable. Now was not the time to be rash. After taking care of Copper Arm, Night Sorrow did not spend much effort. He also took care of a group of Saint King and Saint Realm evil beings. After the battle, Night Sorrow felt that the pressure on his doppelganger in the Heaven Ceiling Hall had decreased significantly. 7 years. Night Sorrow muttered in a low voice. What are you thinking about? Wu Lingfei looked at Night Sorrow and asked. The impact of the evil spirit world on the 9-domain world has decreased. I can suppress it for 7 years. Night Sorrow said. Very good. The more time we buy, the more advantageous the war will be for the 9-domain world. Wu Lingfei nodded. Under Hong Yi's lead, they traveled for another 7 days and arrived at Lan Ying's territory. As soon as they arrived, Lan Ying appeared with a group of people. Hong Yi, what's the meaning of this? We're sisters. You brought the others to my territory. A woman in a blue battle robe with a pair of phoenix eyes looked at Shui Yi angrily. Lan Ying, I'm sorry. Hong Yi sighed. Enough talk, let's fight. After the fight, everything will be settled. Night Sorrow waved the sky splitter and said. Then die. Lan Ying waved her arm and a 2-meter-long sword appeared. She then chopped down at Night Sorrow's head. Night Sorrow waved the sky splitter horizontally in front of him. Q original version #first, release Ka. Night Sorrow's legs were pressed into the ground. Her strength was very strong. Night Sorrow realized that this slender blue figure had a lot of strength. Fortunately, his body was strong, otherwise, he would have suffered greatly from this move. With a shake of his arm, Night Sorrow pushed Lan Ying away. Then, with a wave of his left hand, he released everyone from the dragon cauldron. This was because Lan Ying's subordinates were rushing towards Night Sorrow. Red, keep an eye on them. I'll take care of her, Night Sorrow said to Lan Ying. You want to get rid of me? Boasting shamelessly. Lan Ying waved his saber and said. Whether or not I'm boasting shamelessly, we'll talk with our strength. If I lose, you can take my head. If you lose, I lost, I'm at your disposal. Without waiting for Night Sorrow to finish his words, Lan Ying directly interrupted Night Sorrow's words. Good. I like your temper. Bring it on. Night Sorrow smiled. According to Lan Ying's temper, if she won, it would be much easier to deal with. Lan Ying's body shook, and her battle robe fluttered in the wind. Then, she jumped up and slashed at Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow's right leg shook, and the energy in his body burst forth. He lashed out horizontally. With an explosion, the two separated. Lan Ying retreated a distance. Night Sorrow had the myriad Dao Tome in his body, and in addition to his own strength, Lan Ning was at a disadvantage. After repelling Lan Ning, Night Sorrow began to take the initiative to attack. However, there was a change in tactics. The power of Desolates from the myriad Dao Tome was kept in his body to increase his strength. Void True Qi and Bloodline Power were used alternately to display various battle skills. Now, Night Sorrow's battle skills were connected seamlessly. This tactical arrangement was because Lan Ying's strength was her strength. Night Sorrow wanted to defeat her in this aspect. In terms of strength, she was inferior to Night Sorrow. In addition, Night Sorrow's battle skills were ferocious. Lan Ning could not hold on and was suppressed by Night Sorrow. Are you still not convinced? After sending Lan Ning flying with a space revolving dragon kill, Night Sorrow roared. If you want me to be convinced, this is not enough. Lan Ning shouted. She was very shocked. Her strength was her strength. Her cultivation was higher than Yishang's, but her strength was not as good as Yishang's. She was very shocked and astonished. Night Sorrow did not speak. His protective shield cut through space and caught up with Lan Ning. After sending Lan Ning flying again, Night Sorrow used the space rend. He cut towards Lan Ning. After the space rend, Night Sorrow used the soul extinguishing slash. When Lan Ning waved her war blade to block the space rend, Night Sorrow's soul extinguishing slash crescent moon blade cut into Lan Ying's spirit sea. The situation that followed was the same as Shui Yi's. After a stalemate, Night Sorrow left a strand of soul energy in Lan Ying's spirit sea. You said that if you lost, you would be at my disposal. Is that still valid? Night Sorrow took a few steps back and looked at Lan Ning. Lan Ning looked up at the sky and did not speak for a long time. She then looked at Hong Yi and said, now I understand. Lan Ning, I'm sorry. He's actually a good person. Hong Yi looked at Lan Ning with apologetic eyes. This is fate. You win. Speak. What do you need me to do? Lan Ning looked at Night Sorrow with a straightforward attitude. Like her, help me fight this war. After the war, don't harm the 9-domain world or its people. I won't ask about your matters, Night Sorrow said. Deal. Lan Ning spat out 2 words. Night Sorrow waved his arm and roared. Another big problem had been solved. Now, 4 of the 9 commanders of the evil spirit world had been dealt with. Moreover, it was not a simple matter. The evil spirit world had lost 4 commanders, while the 9-domain world had gained 2 king-level commanders. There are still 2 more commanders that can be killed. Let's do it in one go, Night Sorrow said. He was now full of fighting spirit. In the next 2 months, Night Sorrow led a group of people to kill the other 2 king-level commanders of the evil spirit world. At the same time, they also wiped out the Saint Kings and Pinnacle Saints under them. After setting up camp, Night Sorrow looked at the rest of the people and said, currently, it's impossible for us to achieve great results. We can't kill the mid-level king-level commanders. Therefore, we'll withdraw our troops later. Commander, your mission is over. However, we can still kill the Saint and Paragon level evil spirit lifeforms to weaken the origin energy of the evil spirit world. This is beneficial to the 9-domain world and ourselves, Long Xianqing said. In battle, killing evil spirit lifeforms would give them a boost of soul energy. This was the truth of risk and benefit. The appearance of the evil spirit world was a calamity for the 9-domain world. It was also a calamity and opportunity for the people of the 9-domain world. Victory in the war would be beneficial to both sides. Alright, you guys will split into 2 teams. Hong Yi and Lan Ning will follow one team and protect the safety of the people of the 9-domain world. Night Sorrow thought for a moment and felt that Long Xuanqing's suggestion was good. With Hong Yi and Lan Ning following them, their safety would be high. Hong Yi and Lan Ning nodded. They had both submitted to Yishang. It was true that Yishang respected them, but his words were orders. Chapter 1075. After arranging this and leaving soul crystals for both teams, Night Sorrow left. He wanted to go to Seven Nights City to take a look and see how the construction was going. Also, he wanted to go back to Big Dipper City to take a look. Night Sorrow had left Big Dipper City for a year and a half. He also wanted to see what the current situation was like. He couldn't just leave without asking anything after provoking a bunch of trouble. Returning to the location of the Interrealm teleportation array, Night Sorrow directly teleported to Clear Sky City. Standing in Clear Sky City, Night Sorrow thought of another problem. The current situation of the war was dominated by the Nine Regions world, and the Evil Spirit world had not attacked. If the Evil Spirit King of the Evil Spirit world took the initiative to attack and came to the border between the two worlds and tore through the spatial barrier to enter the Nine Regions world, then it would be troublesome. Normally, Kings could not enter the Nine Regions world, but now that the Nine Regions world was facing a calamity, it was different from normal times. Night Sorrow was not sure. In the Nine Domain world, it was true that Night Sorrow's battle prowess was strong, but the Evil Spirit King's strength was strong. It had 3 commanders with the cultivation of middle-class monarchs under its command. That meant that it was at least a peak middle-class monarch, and its cultivation could be even higher. After thinking for a while, Night Sorrow changed the 1000 derivation array under Clear Sky Mountain and raised the level of the array to the peak of the Holy King realm. A peak of the Holy King realm array could kill a low-level King, but it would be very difficult to kill a mid-level King. However, it would not be a problem to trap it. Night Sorrow wanted to control the enemy. Look at the original chapter. As for the safety of the Heaven Sealing Great Hall, Night Sorrow was not worried. Unless the Evil Spirit world crashed into the Nine Regions world, then the Heaven Sealing Great Hall and the Nine Regions world would be destroyed. If the Evil Spirit world could not do that, then the Heaven Sealing Great Hall would be as stable as Mount Tai. Even if the Evil Spirit King entered the Nine Regions world, he would not dare to touch the Nine Regions origin shield. Moreover, Night Sorrow's clone, which had merged with the Heaven Sealing Great Hall, had astonishing combat strength, and the weapon in his hand was a king artifact. Once the array was set up, Night Sorrow began the teleportation. Night Sorrow first teleported to Seven Nights City. After arriving at Seven Nights City, Night Sorrow nodded with satisfaction. Now that the main city area had been established, it meant that there was a foundation for development. Night Sorrow walked around Seven Nights City and took a look around. Seeing that there were no problems, he took the teleportation array to Northern Star's mansion. "You're back. How's the situation over there?" North Star, who was drinking tea in the mansion, was very happy to see Night Sorrow. "The war is a protracted one. For the time being, there is no clear victor. The only thing we can do is to stabilize the situation," Night Sorrow said. "Is that evil world very strong?" North Star asked Night Sorrow. "Yes, there are 3 commanders with intermediate king cultivation. There is also a tyrannical evil spirit king. Currently, the Nine Regions world is unable to take them down. What we can do now is to stabilize the situation." Night Sorrow nodded. The strength of the evil spirit world had also exceeded his expectations. "Is it that serious? You're the strongest person in the Nine Domain world, so you have to resolve the crisis. However, it's very difficult to kill a mid-level sovereign king. That evil spirit king is even stronger. Is the information accurate?" North Star was a little worried for Yishang, because the situation was indeed grim. "The information is accurate, but I still have time," Night Sorrow said. Following that, Night Sorrow asked North Star about the situation in the Heaven Mystic world. How many sovereigns were still looking for him? North Star told Night Sorrow that those sovereigns were very patient. Even now, they were not in a hurry to let their subordinates search for him in the Heaven Mystic world. "Then let's wait. Right now, everything here is stable. I just need time. The construction of Seven Nights City needs time. My main body needs time to cultivate," Night Sorrow said. Hee. Maybe your main body will continue to comprehend. When you wake up, you will directly rush to the 2-star King realm. North Star said with a smile. "Can it be like that? Doesn't it stop after comprehending 10%? Night Sorrow asked with some surprise. That's not it. There are some cultivators with outstanding talent. When they go into seclusion to comprehend, they will have a big breakthrough. I know of one, 9 Heavens Realm's boundless king. Back then, before he went into seclusion, he was a 1-star king. After he came out of seclusion, he was a 3-star king. North Star explained to Night Sorrow. There's such a thing, haha. North Star, you are giving me expectations. Not to mention skipping levels, being able to reach the late stage of 1-star king realm is already amazing, Night Sorrow said. I believe you can, because no one has been able to cultivate to your level at your age. Looking at the 9 Heavens World Group, the youngest king has cultivated for 1,000 years. What about you? After cultivating for 100 years, you can enter the king realm at any time. So, in terms of talent, no one can compete with you, North Star said with a smile. I'm just a little lucky, Night Sorrow said with a smile. When you enter the king realm, you can try to find your 9-domain origin. If your 9-domain world is formed for a short period of time, or if it feels danger, it may recognize you as its master. If you can refine it, then you will be the world lord. Once you become the world lord, your main body will be immortal in your own world, and your clone will conquer the world outside. Whoever offends you will have to consider the consequences, North Star said to Night Sorrow. Actually, I won't hide it from you. A long time ago, I was the world lord of the 9-domain world. It's just that I can't become the king realm in the 9-domain world, so I came to the sky profound world. Night Sorrow hesitated for a moment, then said to North Star. After coming to the sky profound world, North Star had always been sincerely helping him. It was fine if she didn't mention this matter normally, but now that she mentioned it, if she still hid it, Night Sorrow would feel guilty. You are the world lord? North Star's eyes were filled with shock, then excitement. She was so excited that her fair face was flushed red. I have been for a long time. Because this matter is very important, I didn't mention it. Since you said it today, I can't hide it from you. Night Sorrow nodded. Hee hee. You are ruthless, but I am already used to the things that happen to you. North Star patted her chest and said. It's better not to tell anyone about this. If the people outside know, they will probably seal the 9 Heavens Tower. At that time, it will be difficult for my main body to go back. Night Sorrow said with a smile. I understand. I promise I won't tell anyone, not even my father. North Star nodded. I'll go back to the back of the Celestial Master Pavilion. Go and get some good wine and dishes. Let's have a drink. Night Sorrow said to North Star. Night Sorrow left, and North Star also left the mansion and went to the Heavenly Star Tower to get wine and dishes. At this time, North Star was very happy because Night Sorrow didn't hide it from her, letting her know that Night Sorrow sincerely saw her as a friend. There were no servants in the mansion behind the Celestial Master Pavilion, and it had been a while since they lived there. Night Sorrow began to clean it. While Night Sorrow was cleaning, North Star came. Seeing Night Sorrow wiping the table with a cloth, North Star smiled, the world lord of a world, wiping the table, I think only I can see it. Chapter 1076. What's wrong with that? Actually, I'm looking forward to a peaceful life. Making tea every day and raising some fish and insects is pretty good. Night Sorrow wiped a chair for Bei Xing. Ha, you're wiping a chair for me. Not bad. Bei Xing laughed and sat down. Bei Xing opened the food box and placed the dishes on it. Then, he poured a bowl of wine for himself and Night Sorrow. Because of my background, I've always been cautious about making friends. That's why I don't have many friends. You're my first friend. I believe our friendship will last forever. Of course. Bei Xing, I'll remember everything you've helped me. If you have something that I can help you with, I'll definitely do it. Night Sorrow made a promise. Then, Night Sorrow asked Bei Xing to bring the materials that the Celestial Master Pavilion had accumulated recently. He turned them into pills and gave them to the Celestial Master Pavilion. Recently, the Celestial Master Pavilion didn't accept customized pills and weapons. However, they still needed Saint King pills and Saint King weapons. After staying in the Celestial Master Pavilion for half a month, Knight Sorrow met Ao Luyun again. Your safety shouldn't be a problem now. If you don't come out, no one should be able to find you. Ao Luyun looked at Knight Sorrow and said. I might encounter some trouble when I leave the Nine Heavens Tower. Everything else shouldn't be a problem. Knight Sorrow said with a smile. Hearing Knight Sorrow's words, Ao Luyun thought for a moment and said, I'll help you solve this problem. That's not suitable. I'll think of another way. Knight Sorrow said. Ao Luyun looked at Knight Sorrow and didn't say anything. She understood Knight Sorrow's character. He wouldn't easily accept other people's kindness. After staying with Ao Luyun for a while, Knight Sorrow left. He came to see Ao Luyun. After all, Ao Luyun had expressed her goodwill. After leaving again, Knight Sorrow left Bei Xing's mansion through teleportation. He passed by Seven Nights City and returned to the Nine Regions world. After returning to the Nine Regions world, Knight Sorrow went to Clear Sky City and then to the command tent in the Evil Spirit world. After entering the tent, Knight Sorrow looked at Lu Qin and asked, did it go smoothly? Everything went smoothly. Other than the initial losses, no one died. Lu Qin said. City Lord Lu, I have plans to rebuild Clear Sky City. With my avatar here, the Heaven Sealing Great Hall will be safe. We can build this place into the core city of the Nine Domains world. Knight Sorrow spoke his thoughts. Yes, the construction of Seven Night City is done by the core forces of the Nine Regions world. It is relatively easier to build Clear Sky City. The Nine Regions can contribute manpower and resources. Lu Qin nodded. Knight Sorrow rubbed his forehead and said, building two major cities in a row will put a lot of pressure on the Nine Domains world. The pressure is great for the time being, but after the pressure passes, it will be a brand new Nine Regions world, a Nine Regions world that can stand tall in the vast thousand worlds. Taishu Yen walked in from outside. We need to play it safe. We can't let the Nine Domains world collapse, Knight Sorrow said. The construction of Seven Night City was already very stressful for the Nine Domain world. Adding the construction of Clear Sky City, the burden was even heavier. Later, the people of the commander's residence will discuss how to deal with it, Taishu Yen said. Knight Sorrow nodded. He could only take charge of the direction of the development of the Nine Domains world. He did not have the energy or time to do so. Knight Sorrow set up a tent not far from the command tent and stayed there to cultivate his battle skills. Staying in the evil spirit world, he could be the first to know and deal with any situation. He did not want anything to happen to the people of the Nine Domains world. As for the tribulation of the Nine Domains world, Knight Sorrow felt that it would not be a problem. It could be overcome. It was just a matter of time. 3 months later, the two teams led by Hong Yi and Lanning returned. Both teams had killed countless evil beings. At this time, Knight Sorrow felt that the pressure on the Nine Domains world had lessened by a lot. Everyone gathered in the main tent. Commander, fighting like this still can't solve the problem, Xian Wenxiu said. It can't solve the problem, but it can buy time. We can avoid the enemy's experts and kill ordinary evil beings. This is equivalent to weakening the evil spirit world's origin energy. The weakening of the evil spirit world's origin energy will lessen the impact on the Nine Domains world. The main thing is that everyone is safe, Knight Sorrow said. There's no problem with safety. The evil spirit king is in the evil spirit abyss. The 3 king-level commanders are also near the evil spirit abyss. They are guarding the evil spirit abyss, so we won't encounter any kings if we kill in the periphery. Lanning looked at Knight Sorrow and expressed her opinion. If there's no problem with safety, then everyone can continue to fight. I'll stay here. If there's any situation, just inform me. Remember, safety is the most important thing. Knight Sorrow emphasized the issue of safety once again. While the clone in the heaven-sealing Great Hall suppressed the evil spirit world, it also cultivated battle skills. It cultivated willpower, the power of laws, and the use of elemental power. Night Sorrow stayed in the evil spirit world. Every day, he would refine pills, drink tea, and stabilize himself. After more than a year and a half, close to 2 years, the 2 elite teams returned. At this time, Night Sorrow felt that even in his current state, his clone in the heaven-sealing Great Hall could suppress the evil spirit world for 50 years. Of course, if his main body's cultivation increased, this time would be extended. We've cleared the surrounding areas of the evil spirit world. We can't go to the core area, so we came back, Redcoat said. Then the battle will stop. This result is very good. Next, it's my business, Night Sorrow said. Night Sorrow was also a little puzzled. Since his main body woke up last time, there had been no reaction until now. Normally speaking, this shouldn't be the case. The only explanation was that his main body was still in the process of comprehending. If he didn't comprehend, he would wake up from his meditation. But now that he hadn't woken up, he could only wait. If he interrupted, it would be equivalent to destroying his future. Moreover, the current situation wasn't very urgent. The situation was already under control, so he would just let nature take its course. There weren't many opportunities to increase his cultivation. Perhaps if he stopped cultivating now, it would be king, but he still wasn't a match for the evil spirit king. He still had to cultivate deeply. Night Sorrow felt that it would be better to continue cultivating in one go. No one asked about Night Sorrow's matter now. Night Sorrow's decision was unconditionally supported and carried out by the people of the 9 regions world. They believed that Night Sorrow could handle everything well. Then we'll stay here and guard. Those who need to cultivate can go and cultivate, Wu Lingfei said. To forge iron, one needs to be strong. If we want to completely resolve this calamity, we're still not strong enough. We'll retreat later. I'll bring up the rear and take down the world teleportation formation, Night Sorrow said. Commander, should we start the construction of Clear Sky City now? Lu Qin asked. Unspecified currency original V first release, I'll leave these matters to you. I can only deal with the war. You can discuss other matters, Night Sorrow said as he stood up. Chapter 1077. The others nodded their heads. Yi Shang had already contributed enough. Everyone had to be responsible for some things. Everyone, don't feel too pressured. Humans are born by living, and the path is created by walking. No matter which great world it is, we all have to go through this process of growth. Yi Sorrow left behind a few words and left the command tent. In addition, Night Sorrow didn't tell everyone that as the war progressed smoothly, Night Sorrow discovered that the origin laws of the 9 regions world had become much stronger. Not long after Night Sorrow returned to his tent, Sikong Chuyu, Yang Lei, and Aoi arrived at Night Sorrow's tent. 13. I have good news for you. I've refined that space. Now it has fused with the origin of space. It means that I have a space in my body. Aoi looked at Night Sorrow and smiled. Good news. Congratulations, 6th senior sister. Night Sorrow cupped his hands at Aoi. It's all thanks to you, Aoi said. After we return, everyone should have a good rest. We'll pack up and return to Clear Sky City, Night Sorrow said. The battle in the evil spirit world had ended. There was no need to leave anyone here. While they were talking, Hong Yi and Lanning arrived at Night Sorrow's tent. Thank you for your help this time. Night Sorrow thanks you. If you need Night Sorrow's help, please let me know. Night Sorrow cupped his hands at Hong Yi and Lanning. I didn't expect you to control us and be so polite. We didn't follow the wrong person. Your people are retreating. What will you do with us? Lanning looked at Night Sorrow and asked. Naturally, we'll go together. Follow us to the 9 regions world. The evil spirit world is a calamity for the 9 regions world. If the Nine Regions world can survive, the evil spirit world will be absorbed by the Nine Regions world and become nourishment for the growth of the Nine Regions world. You'll also need a place to live, Night Sorrow said. Alright, I'll listen to the arrangements. What about you, Lan Ning? Blood Robes looked at Lan Ning. Naturally, it's the same. Lan Ning nodded. When she was first subdued by Night Sorrow, Lan Ning was dissatisfied with Red Coat. However, she had already let it go. At that time, Red Coat had already served Night Sorrow. She had no other choice. In addition, her situation was much better than the other commanders, King. Night Sorrow had also given her enough respect. Relax. You were born into the Nine-Domain world's tribulation. Living in the Nine-Domain world is naturally your home. No one will disrespect you. Night Sorrow comforted the two girls. Thus, everyone was teleported away. Night Sorrow put away the Interrealm teleportation array and then tore through space to return to the Nine Regions world and to Supreme Sky City. Night Sorrow saw the core members of the Nine Regions world waiting for him at the Interrealm teleportation formation in Clear Sky City. As for the construction of the city, I'll leave it to you all to discuss. I'll be here for the time being. Night Sorrow looked at the group of people and said this. Then, he went to the side and made a tent. He planned to camp there. Night Sorrow left. The others were still discussing. The final result of the discussion was to first build around the Heaven Ceiling Great Hall. At the very least, there had to be a City Lord mansion. While Night Sorrow was making tea, Red Coat and Lan Ning came. Both of them did not look well. Original version / What's wrong with the two of you? Night Sorrow asked when he saw that Red Coat and Lan Ning were not in good condition. Our lives are incomplete. We have flesh and blood bodies and souls, but we still lack something very important. When we were in the evil spirit world, we couldn't feel it. Now, it's very obvious, Lan Ning said. What they lack is the origin of life. In other words, they don't have the world origin of the Nine Regions world. The Nine Regions origins voice sounded in Night Sorrow's divine sea. Following the Nine Regions origins explanation, Night Sorrow understood some things. Life was produced by the gathering of spirit energy in a world and had the recognition of the world. However, Red Coat and Lan Ning were not. Their origin of life was wrong. They were energy bodies that had turned into flesh and blood. What they lacked was the recognition of a world. The evil spirit world did not have this ability. Living in the evil spirit world, Red Coat and Lan Ning could not sense it. Now that they had left the evil spirit world, the drawbacks were revealed. It was very difficult for Red Coat and Lan Ning to solve this problem. It could be said that they could not solve it. After a long time, they would slowly disperse and disappear from the world. It was a difficult problem for Red Coat and Lan Ning to solve, but Night Sorrow could easily solve it. I can solve this problem, but for the two of you, it may be a problem, Night Sorrow said to Red Coat and Lan Ning. You can solve it. What is the problem? Lan Ning asked excitedly. It is like this. I am the leader of the Nine Regions world, Night Sorrow said. I can control the Nine Regions origin. I can give each of you an origin, but because you are not from the Nine Regions world, once the origin enters your body, it will disperse. If you do not want it to disperse, there is only one way. Hearing that Night Sorrow had a way to solve this problem, Red Coat and Lan Ning's eyes brightened. They quickly asked. Night Sorrow told them how to solve this problem. There was only one way, and that was for the origin to enter the soul power that Night Sorrow had left in their god orbs. Then, Night Sorrow's soul power would completely combine with their soul orbs. As a result, Red Coat and Lan Ning would forever be under Night Sorrow's control. If Night Sorrow died, the soul power that he had left in their god orbs would disperse, and they would disappear. As long as Night Sorrow did not die, they would not be able to leave. The downside was that Red Coat and Lan Ning would know what they were thinking, and Night Sorrow would know what they were thinking. You win again. We sisters are destined to live under your control for the rest of our lives. But isn't it the same now? It doesn't matter if you continue to control us. Lan Ning was quite open-minded. Red Coat, what about you? Night Sorrow looked at Red Coat. Naturally, it is not a problem. It is the same anyway, Red Coat said with a smile. Seeing the two of them nod, Night Sorrow controlled 9 regions origin to enter the two women's deity seas and combine with his soul power. Then, his soul power dispersed into the two women's god orbs. Red Coat and Lan Ning did not resist. Instead, they cooperated with Night Sorrow's soul power to combine with their god orbs. After half a cup of tea's time, the combination was complete. How do you two feel now? Night Sorrow asked the two women. Our lives are complete. We have reached a level of compatibility with this world. There are no problems, Lan Ning said after sensing it for a moment. That's good. I will be staying here for a while. You two can go around and have a look. The 9 regions world will be your home from now on. If there is anything, I will inform you directly, Night Sorrow said. Red Coat and Lan Ning nodded and left. If there was anything, it was easy for Night Sorrow to inform them. Night Sorrow's soul power could transmit the message through their god orbs. After Red Coat and Lan Ning left, Night Sorrow's family members arrived at Night Sorrow's place. Night Sorrow, what do you plan to do next? Yang Lei asked Night Sorrow. I will go and transfer the space-time pagoda over. You two should cultivate. All I can do is wait. Wait for my main body to break through, Night Sorrow said as he looked at his parents and wife. Chapter 1078. That's all we can do. Don't be anxious. Take it slow, Yuqing said as she looked at her son. Mom, don't worry. I'm fine now. Now that the 9 regions world has passed this hurdle, the road ahead will be smooth, Night Sorrow said with a smile. After that, Night Sorrow returned to the city in the sky. After putting away the space-time pagoda, he returned to Clear Sky City and placed the space-time pagoda in front of the ceiling sky hall. Those who needed to cultivate cultivated. Night Sorrow brought the clones of his 3 wives and Xueshi to the 70th floor. Xueshi's room was there. The environment here is not bad. It's more comfortable for us to stay here. Your original bodies have to work hard, Night Sorrow said to them. Sikong Chuyu and the others nodded. Night Sorrow, does this tribulation exist in all worlds? Xueshi asked Night Sorrow. After a space world is formed, it will definitely experience a tribulation. The more serious one is when a world becomes a high-level world. After we pass this tribulation, the 9 regions world will become a high-level world. It will be on the same level as the profound sky world, sky dome world, and 9 heavens world. And our 9 regions world is not the end, Night Sorrow said. Not the end? Xueshi looked at Night Sorrow in surprise. The first space world that I refined was the void space. That was a supreme void space. Later, I used the void space to complete the 9 regions world. Then, the 9 regions world had the potential to become a supreme world. However, I don't know when it will complete the evolution. When it evolves to a supreme world, there will be a tribulation. However, by then, our strength will have increased. It won't be a problem for us to pass the tribulation. This time, we came too early and were caught off guard, Night Sorrow said. Yes, we came too early this time. If you were king, you would have no problem passing this tribulation, Sikong Chuyu said. She trusted Night Sorrow the most. It was a trust that came from the bottom of her heart. After resting for a few days, Night Sorrow suddenly felt that he had nothing to do. He could only rest or watch others work. Tai Shu Yen had brought a group of craftsmen to construct the outer perimeter of the heaven-sealing Great Hall, as well as the City Lord's mansion. Whether it was 7 Nights City or Haotian City, there was only one City Lord, and that was Night Sorrow. Even if Night Sorrow did not care and did not want to do it, everyone in the 9 domains world only recognized him. For such a thing, Night Sorrow could only accept it. After all, he did not need to do anything. 2 months later, Hong Yi and Lan Ning returned. Seeing Red Spectre and Blue Shadow, Night Sorrow noticed that their auras had changed. The evil aura that had been around them had lessened, and there was now a gentleness to them. We've made a round. How do you feel? Night Sorrow brought the two of them to the 70th floor of the Spacetime Pagoda and brewed a pot of tea. The biggest feeling is that your world is very humane. It is full of warmth and peace, Lanning said. You said something wrong. This is not your world. This is our world. This is the world we are fighting for, Night Sorrow said to Lanning. I was wrong. This is our world. Such a world is worth fighting for. Lanning saluted Night Sorrow, feeling embarrassed. I'm very gratified that you can have such thoughts and insights. I'm truly gratified, said Yishan. Your spatial magic treasure is not bad, Red Spectre said after turning his head to look at it. It's okay. Now that you two understand the Nine Domains world and have a sense of belonging, I will tell you about the Nine Domains world and its development, Night Sorrow said to Red Spectre and Lanning. We have seen all that we can see, especially the Eastern Xian region where you grew up in the Night Moon Dynasty. I like the feeling of the Eastern Xian region and the Night Moon Dynasty, Red Spectre said. No, you have only seen part of it. You know a lot, but you don't know much about the Nine Domains world. I will tell you about the Nine Domains world's development. I have obtained the Realm Teleportation Crystal. Now, the Nine Domains world is connected to the mysterious Heaven world. We are building a big city in the mysterious Heaven world. Night Sorrow explained the situation of the Nine Domains world to Red Spectre and Lanning. We are going to develop outside. That's good. Lanning said. The Nine Domains world has only been formed for a short period of time. There is no place where the will of the world manifests, so it cannot become a king. So, to break this shackle, we can only develop in other high-level worlds. Of course, after the Nine Domains world survives this disaster, it will become a high-level world. With enough time, it will naturally form a place where the will of the world manifests. Night Sorrow explained the current situation of the Nine Domains world to Red Spectre and Lanning. Yes, we understand. Lanning nodded. After entering the mysterious Heaven world, we will be connected to the Nine Firmament world. The horizons and opportunities of the people of the Nine Domains world will also increase. This is my idea, and I am already doing it. After the Nine Domains world survives this disaster, you can also go outside and take a look. Find your own opportunities and raise your level. Night Sorrow said to Red Spectre and Lanning. We all understand. You are the ruler of the Nine Domains world, and we are the people of the Nine Domains world. In the future, we will follow in your footsteps. Red Spectre expressed her attitude. Xueshi, bring Red Spectre and Lanning to the Seven Nights City later to have a look. Let them know more about the Nine Domains world. Night Sorrow said to Xueshi. Xueshi had always been by Night Sorrow's side. Everyone in the Nine Domains world knew that Xueshi was one of Night Sorrow's people, so it was more convenient for her to do things. Okay, then I will bring them to have a look later. Xueshi nodded. Look at the Q section of the chapter. By the way, Red Spectre and Lan Ying's weapons are still relatively low level. I can help you refine them and raise their level. Night Sorrow said to Red Spectre and Lanning. You are also a weapon refiner? Lanning looked at Night Sorrow, her eyes full of surprise. I am a Saint King grade weapon refiner. I can upgrade your weapons to Saint King grade and raise your battle strength. If you need any pills, I can also help you. Night Sorrow said with a smile. Regarding his achievements in alchemy and weapon refinement, Night Sorrow was still very proud because very few people could do this. In the next few days, Night Sorrow helped Red Spectre and Lanning raise the grade of their weapons. Night Sorrow was very impressed with Red Spectre and Lanning. The two of them were life forms born from the heavenly way. Not to mention that their cultivation was king grade, they had a very deep understanding of battle and had the ability to fight above their level. It could be said that this was talent. In 10 days, Yi Shang had upgraded Hong Yi's sword and Lan Ying's saber to Saint Ruler weapons. Their battle prowess had increased again. Xueshi, take them for a walk. But when you reach the profound sky world, don't leave the Seven Nights Mountain. The appearance of the new king will cause a disturbance. Night Sorrow said to Xueshi. Night Sorrow's concerns were not without reason. If a junior king did not belong to a force, then the other senior kings would have thoughts of subduing them. If they could not be subdued, then they would be destroyed. Chapter 1079. Night Sorrow, I know what to do. Don't worry. I'm only bringing them out to broaden my horizons. We won't cause any trouble. Xueshi nodded. Night Sorrow then waved his hand and threw Xueshi, Hong Yi, and Lanning out of the space-time treasure pagoda. What? We haven't even finished talking and you threw us out, Lanning muttered. Let's go. Let's take a look at our 9-domain world's base in the profound sky world, Xueshi said with a smile. Within the space-time treasure pagoda, Night Sorrow and his 3 wives were talking. Above, Night Sorrow, after this calamity, our 9-domain world will become a high-grade world. There is no need to pay such a huge price to build 7-night city in the profound celestial realm, Sikong Chuyu said. It is necessary. The 9-domain world needs time to become a mature high-grade world or even a sovereign world. Furthermore, the cultivators of our 9-domain world still need to go out and interact with the cultivators of other worlds. Only then can we increase our level. The profound sky world is the gateway between us and the 9-firmament world. Night Sorrow shook his head. He had thought about Sikong Chuyu's opinion before, but his thoughts on building 7-night city had never wavered. N13's words are reasonable. 7-night city still needs to be built. This will only bring us benefits and no harm. In the future, we will focus on developing Clear Sky City. Yang Lei also agreed with Night Sorrow's point of view. With nothing else to do, Night Sorrow exchanged battle skills with his 3 wives. In truth, he was also guiding his 3 wives in their cultivation and increasing their battle strength. Night Sorrow's teaching was very simple. He just stood there and displayed 3 different energy techniques for his 3 wives to comprehend. While cultivating with his 3 wives, Night Sorrow also guided Yi Nianxiao, July, and Ning Yun in their cultivation. Night Sorrow did not impart his experience to others. He only shared his comprehension and understanding of battle. Big brother, I don't have enough strength. I can only pursue speed. Yi Nianxiao said after sparring with Ning Yun. Actually, strength and speed are interlinked. This requires a technique to add the inertia of speed to strength. This is how they complement each other. Ning Yun, your strength is strong. You can use the explosive force to charge forward and backward to increase your speed, Night Sorrow said. Hearing Night Sorrow's words, Ning Yun and Yi Nianxiao nodded. Night Sorrow's words had opened a door for them. These are all universal. The other thing is to research the combat skills that you're good at and that are unique to you. Only then will you be different from ordinary cultivators, Night Sorrow reminded them again. With your guidance, they'll be able to avoid many detours. Aoi came to Night Sorrow's side. She looked at the departing figures of Yi Nianxiao and the others. It mainly depends on talent and aptitude. As for how far they can go, it depends on themselves. I'm also groping my way through cultivation, so the guidance I can give is limited, Night Sorrow said. Ha! Your guidance is limited. Right now, you're the number 1 person in the 9-domain world. How many people hope to get your guidance? That includes everyone. Yang Lei patted Night Sorrow's shoulder. Night Sorrow smiled. He hadn't thought about this. He had always been too busy. Afterwards, Night Sorrow took the girls for a stroll around Supreme Sky City. The current Supreme Sky City was completely different from when Night Sorrow had first come here. When Night Sorrow had first come here, Supreme Sky City didn't have any vitality. It was a barren land. But now, it was filled with lush greenery and was full of vitality. Supreme Sky City had the Heaven Ceiling Hall. With the restoration of the 9-domain world, the heaven sealing hall was no longer in a state where it could only maintain itself. It had already spread its origin energy in all directions. In addition, the main city had been constructed, and the transmission array had been set up. Night Sorrow had said that Supreme Sky City would become the core of the 9-domain world. Therefore, the transmission array was set up to connect to the major cities of the various domains. With the Heaven Sealing Hall, there wouldn't be a problem with the flow of people in the future. Now, the inns and restaurants had been built. As for the division of power, Night Sorrow didn't even ask about it. He believed that the commander's residence would handle it well. After walking around, Night Sorrow brought his 3 wives back to the Spacetime Treasure Pagoda. Everything is changing. The rise of the 9-domain world is unstoppable. It just needs time. Night Sorrow was still a little emotional. Yes, but you're too tired. Aoi felt sorry for Night Sorrow. It's nothing. It's just a special period. Once it's over, everything will be fine. Night Sorrow smiled. Night Sorrow knew that the most important factor in the future was when he became a king. Saint Kings had a limited lifespan. King didn't have this problem. Also, as long as a king-level sector lord didn't act rashly, he wouldn't die. If Night Sorrow could enter the king realm, then the 9-domain world could produce a king. For a world to produce a king-level cultivator, there were 2 conditions. First, it had to be a mature high-level world. The 9-domain world had just passed its tribulation to become a high-level world. However, it was just a newly formed high-level world. It still needed a long time to mature. The second condition was that the life form of the world broke through to the king realm. Therefore, the fastest way for the 9-domain world to develop was for Night Sorrow to break through to the king realm. After resting for a few days, Night Sorrow wanted to move. With the clone in the Heaven Sealing Hall guarding this place, it was safe. Night Sorrow brought his 3 wives to the eastern Xian region. The first place they went to was the Saint Hall. The Saint Hall was now truly a holy land. The first batch of members had produced many venerables. Most importantly, the Hall Master of the Saint Hall was the 9-domain world's realm lord, Night Sorrow. When Night Sorrow arrived, Yin Yanxiao, Ning Yun and Chiyue were also there. They were guiding the new students in the practice field. Night Sorrow didn't greet anyone. That would disturb the others' cultivation. Yishang glanced around and found that the rattan chair where he had been resting was still there. He walked over and lay down on it. The scene of him searching for return to origin still played in his mind. Sikong Chuyu, Yang Lei, and Aoi were hugging their shoulders as they watched the group of children cultivate. Who are you? Get up. That's not a place you can sit. When Night Sorrow closed his eyes to rest, a roar entered Night Sorrow's ears. What's going on? Night Sorrow was startled. This roar had given him a fright. Didn't you hear me? I told you to get up. A girl's figure stood there. Don't be so fierce. This is my chair. Night Sorrow didn't get up. He tidied his robes to rest more comfortably. What's going on? Bei Tiangu, who was originally resting at the front of the practice field, stood up. He's sitting on the hall master's seat and isn't getting up. The 16 or 17-year-old girl pointed at Night Sorrow. Following the girl's finger, Bei Tiangu saw Yishang. He quickly walked in front of Yishang, bowed, and cupped his hands. Chapter 1080. What's going on? This is my own chair. Is there a problem with me sitting on it? Yishang looked at Bei Tiangu and said. He was not blaming anyone in his heart. It was just that he was interrupted while he was reminiscing, and he felt a little unhappy. Lord Commander, don't be angry. These new students don't know the situation. Bei Tiangu explained. Night Sorrow was the realm master of the 9 regions world. He was supreme in the 9 regions world. Whether it was strength or reputation, he was the highest. Let alone scolding him, no one could even say anything disrespectful. Anyone who attacked Night Sorrow would be the public enemy of the 9 regions world. But today, in the Holy Hall that Night Sorrow had established, Night Sorrow had been scolded. Bei Tiangu felt very uncomfortable and even terrified. Forget it, it's nothing. It's just that I won't feel anything if I stay here any longer. You have a fiery temper. Work hard. Night Sorrow stood up and glanced at the girl. Then he left the Holy Hall with Sikong Chuyu and the others. Elder, I've caused trouble. The girl who had scolded Night Sorrow said with tears in her eyes. If the commander says it's nothing, then it's nothing. He won't care about this. It's rare for him to come and rest, but you scolded him and he ran away. Sigh. Bei Tiangu felt very helpless. Ha! Almost all the people who scolded my brother are dead. After scolding him, the only one who's fine is you. Very good. Follow me in the future. Yin Yan walked over with a smile and patted the girl's shoulder. Senior sister, Lan Ling scolded your brother. Aren't you angry? The girl called Lan Ling looked at Yin Yan with some fear in her eyes. Elder said that if my brother says it's nothing, then it's nothing. Do you doubt my brother's tolerance? Besides, you're protecting my brother. Everyone knows that. Yin Yan smiled. Master established the Holy Hall to give some children who lack someone to take care of some warmth. He wants to see everyone live a happy life. It's just that you interrupted some of his thoughts. You don't have to worry about others blaming you. Ning Yun nodded to Lan Ling. Night Sorrow brought his wife to Qin Chen's tea house. Yongjiu. Be free. Small percent say, what a rare guest. You haven't been here for a long time. Why do you look so bad? As soon as Night Sorrow entered the tea house, Qin Chen came over with 2 jars of wine. Ha! He was just scolded by someone. It would be strange if his expression was good, Yang Lei said. Just now, that was someone from the 9 domains world. Who scolded you? Qin Chen's smile disappeared and anger appeared on his face. He was not happy. He knew how much Night Sorrow had sacrificed for the 9 domain world. He would protect Night Sorrow until the end. He's just a kid from the Holy Church. Don't blame me for not knowing. It's nothing. Night Sorrow shook his head helplessly. Ha! Interesting. Let's drink. Hey! Make some dishes. Chen Chen chuckled and turned around to shout at the restaurant. Night Sorrow looked at Chen Chen and said, You're living a comfortable life as a boss. I'm actually very envious of your life. Then how many people envy you? What's wrong with you? Where's the child? Chen Chen looked at Night Sorrow and asked. I want one too, but my original body has been cultivating. I can only wait. Night Sorrow shook his head helplessly. I shouldn't have mentioned this, but you have to hurry up. Chen Chen looked at Night Sorrow's 3 wives and said apologetically. Night Sorrow nodded. He also wanted to do this. After drinking with Chen Chen and his wife, Night Sorrow took his wives for a walk around Zhuyuan City. Then they arrived at the Medicine Valley. The structure of the Medicine Valley had not changed. It was just that the older generation took some people to the Tianding Gate. Gong Xian was still in charge of the Medicine Valley. Seeing Night Sorrow and his wives coming back, Gong Xian and the older disciples of the Taixian Peak were very happy. It was inevitable that everyone would drink a lot. After that, Night Sorrow took his 3 wives to the Bamboo Forest Peak and stayed there. He just wanted to have a few days of peace. Night Sorrow, who lived in the Bamboo Forest Peak, was like an ordinary woodcutter. He chopped his own firewood, boiled his own water, and made his own tea. In the past, disciples of the Medicine Valley would come to ask Night Sorrow for advice. Now, there was no such thing because the Medicine Valley had set a rule that outsiders were not allowed to approach the Bamboo Forest Peak. Night Sorrow, do you like this life or do you just want to ease your mind? Sikong Chiyu looked at Night Sorrow who lit the fire and boiled the water and asked. Both. In the blink of an eye, time flies like clouds in smoke. Looking back, 100 years have passed. Night Sorrow said with some emotion. I'm going to faint. 13, if I remember correctly, you were born a hunter, right? You can write poems now. Yang Lei looked at Night Sorrow with some surprise. What's wrong with being born a hunter? Old man Gu taught me how to read and write since I was young. All these years, I have read a lot of alchemy, blacksmithing, and ancient books. Many of them are classical, so I know some poems, Night Sorrow said with a smile. That's true. What kind of person is our Night Sorrow? He's an all-rounder, Sikong Chuyu said with a smile. I miss old man Gu a little. Let's go to the city in the sky to accompany him later, Night Sorrow said. After staying in the bamboo forest peak for half a month, Night Sorrow, his wife, Gong Xian, and the others bade farewell and returned to the city in the sky. Night Sorrow accompanied Old Man Gu for drinks and tea every day. Then, they went to the lake on the boat. Night Sorrow rested for a few days. Xueshi came back with Hong Yi and Lanning. Knowing that Night Sorrow was at the lake, the three of them flew to the lake and landed on Night Sorrow's small boat. How is it? Is everything going well in Seven Night City? Night Sorrow, who was lying on the wooden boat, asked after moving his body. Everything is going well. I even went to Big Dipper City to see Beixing. The situation in Big Dipper City is very stable now. Beixing told me that the king under the sovereign's command is currently searching the Yanmen Sex area and Biji City's area, Xueshi said. If they can't see me, they can only catch me blindly. I should show my face again, Night Sorrow said after thinking for a while. Show your face for what? Isn't it very stable now? Xueshi looked at Night Sorrow and said. You don't have to worry about it. I'll go to Tiannan Dynasty and kill them. Let them go to Tiannan Dynasty to play. It should be interesting this way, Night Sorrow said. But it's dangerous. Xueshi was a little worried. It's okay to be careful. Night Sorrow nodded at Xueshi. He knew that Xueshi was worried about him. Night Sorrow, take us there. We can fight, Lanning looked at Night Sorrow and said. That's right. We are lacking in many areas, but fighting is not a problem. Red nodded. Okay, let's go. After Night Sorrow finished speaking, he leaped into the air. His arm released energy to wrap around the boat and the few of them, bringing them back to the shore. Then, he took the teleportation array and left. Night Sorrow put on his mask and brought Red and Lanning to Tiannan Dynasty's area. He took out a map and drew the area to attack. Night Sorrow knew about Tiannan Dynasty. The only people who could threaten him now were Shang Tianfeng and Yuan Qianba. Night Sorrow was not afraid. If he teamed up with Red and Lanning, Yuan Qianba would not be a threat. Red and Lanning did not ask about Night Sorrow's plan. They just followed Night Sorrow to fight. Chapter 1081. You two put on a veil and disguise yourselves. That way, there won't be any trouble in the future, Night Sorrow said to Hong Yi and Lanning. Night Sorrow wasn't worried about Hong Yi and Lanning being exposed. He was worried that it would be inconvenient for them to travel the world in the future. After hearing Night Sorrow's words, Hong Yi and Lanning did as they were told. After coming to the Nine-Domain world, Hong Yi and Lanning had a sense of belonging to the Nine-Domain world. They didn't hate Night Sorrow, only respect. Therefore, Night Sorrow's opinion wouldn't be discounted. After entering the Tiannan Dynasty's city, Night Sorrow asked Hong Yi to guard the teleportation circle while he and Lanning started killing. Night Sorrow was already very fast when he was alone. Now that he had Lanning with him, his efficiency was greatly increased. A city lord's mansion was taken down in an instant. It couldn't be called a battle. It was a one-sided massacre. After one city, it was time for the next. Night Sorrow brought Hong Yi and Lanning to the Tiannan Dynasty's city and started slaughtering. After half a day, Night Sorrow had earned a lot and left the Tiannan Dynasty's territory with the two girls. This time, Night Sorrow didn't leave behind any notes or clues for Shang Tianfeng. Hong Yi and Lanning were ruthless. They killed anyone they saw. Although there weren't any clues, everyone guessed that it was Knight Sorrow's doing. Tian-Nan dynasty had been stable for many years. Only after Knight Sorrow's appearance did the Tian-Nan dynasty's cities get attacked repeatedly. In addition, their attacking style was the same as Knight Sorrow's, which was attacking the city lord's mansion and robbing resources. They didn't kill innocent people. When Knight Sorrow was drinking tea in the city in the sky, Shang Tianfeng smashed the table in the Tian-Nan palace into pieces. Investigate. Find out where he is. This emperor will personally kill him. Shang Tianfeng flew into a rage. In the Xian celestial realm, there were many top forces. None of the leaders, the king, had his face trampled under the holy king's shoe like him. After hearing Shang Tianfeng's words, all the leaders in the hall bowed. No one could provoke Shang Tianfeng's anger right now. Knight Sorrow, what other enemies do you have? Let's continue doing this. It's too exciting. Lanning looked at Knight Sorrow and said. Hee, I have too many enemies. I can only use this one for the time being. Knight Sorrow said. He didn't expect Lanning to be so aggressive. Then it's a deal. When you want to move, you have to call us. Lanning said. Alright, I'll definitely bring you along when I can. Knight Sorrow nodded. Once the Tian-Nan dynasty was in trouble, the subordinates of the Zhangyin monarch, Moon monarch, and Yuanling monarch all rushed to the Tian-Nan dynasty to find Knight Sorrow. As long as there was a glimmer of hope, they wouldn't let it go. Finding Knight Sorrow was a great achievement for them. If they could get the soul cultivation liquid and give it to the monarch, they would definitely be valued by the monarch. Their future development would be much easier. With the monarch's protection, who wouldn't give face? In the Big Dipper city, Beixing, who was playing chess with the Big Dipper king, shook his head after hearing the news. Father, are these people stupid or what? Why are they being led around by Knight Sorrow like dogs? Some things are blinded by the situation. They know that there's not much hope, but they're still unwilling to give up. Humans die for wealth and birds die for food. The Big Dipper king also shook his head. However, Knight Sorrow is really brave. He dares to force himself in the limelight. His style is already clear. In the future, no one will dare to go against him easily. If they really want to take revenge, it'll be endless. Who wouldn't have a headache? Shang Tianfeng is probably going crazy now. Beixing said with a smile. Personality. Everyone's personality is different. This is Knight Sorrow's personality. He doesn't provoke others, but if anyone bullies him, he'll fight to the end. I can only say that Shang Tianfeng was blind to provoke someone he shouldn't have. Have you guys met recently? The Big Dipper king asked with a smile. He's been busy recently, so he hasn't taken the initiative to look for me. However, someone close to him came and said that he needs some resources. Beixing poured a cup of tea for the Big Dipper king. He needs resources. What kind of resources does he need? The Big Dipper king asked, somewhat surprised. Father, you might not know, but a calamity has appeared in the 9 regions world. He's leading people to deal with it. He sent someone to deliver Holy Spirit stones and asked me to help him collect some materials, Beixing said. He's still growing. It's important to help him when he's in need. You can use the Big Dipper city's resources. Just help him as you see fit. I have no objections. The Big Dipper king expressed his thoughts. Father, he's not someone who takes advantage of others. The resources he needs are all in Holy Spirit stones. This guy's foundation of resources is very thick. Beixing said with a smile. That's true. He's a Saint King grade alchemist and artifact refiner. He has the ability to accumulate resources. The Big Dipper king nodded while stroking his beard. After Knight Sorrow rested in Sky City, he asked Xueshi to go to Big Dipper City to find Beixing and check out the situation outside. He wasn't alone, so he naturally couldn't ignore the outside world. If he didn't understand the situation, a single misdecision would cause the 9 regions world to suffer heavy losses. Another purpose was to collect resources and materials. The calamity of the 9 regions world hadn't passed yet, so he still needed to stock up on poisons. Seeing Xuexi, Beixing asked about Night Sorrow's situation. Don't worry. Those trash from Tian-Nan dynasty can't do anything to Night Sorrow. They can only passively take a beating, Xuexi said. Xuexi said. There were some things that everyone had a tacit understanding of. Yi Shang also didn't hide his own matters from Beixing, ha. Well done. Beixing clapped his hands and said. After talking with Beixing for a while, Xuexi went to rest in the mansion behind the Heavenly Master Pavilion while waiting for Beixing to collect resources. She had already given the Saint Spirit stones to Beixing. Beixing was also very helpful. In half a day, he gave the resources to Xuexi. They were the 7 extremes grass that Night Sorrow had used before. They could be used to refine the 7 extremes poison smoke. After expressing her gratitude to Beixing, Xuexi planned to leave. Tell Night Sorrow not to worry. If there's an emergency here, I'll go find him. Beixing said to Xuexi. New L chapter Q plus previous. Xuexi cupped her hands to Beixing and left. She knew that Beixing and Night Sorrow were true friends. To put it bluntly, they were brothers. After getting the 7 extremes grass, Night Sorrow was very satisfied. The 7 extremes poison smoke was a very strong poison. If he used it, he could fight together with Hong Yi and Lan Ning. They could even kill a mid-king. Although he hadn't refined the 7 extremes poison smoke before, Night Sorrow wanted to try. The 7 extremes poison smoke was a high-grade Holy King poison. He could refine it. Last time, Elder Xiang was worried. After a few days and 1 failure, Night Sorrow refined more than 20 bottles of the 7 extremes poison smoke. After refining the 7 extremes poison smoke, Night Sorrow thought for a while and decided to attack the evil spirit world again. With this idea, Night Sorrow called for Hong Yi and Lan Ning. However, Wu Lingfei also came. Chapter 1082. Night Sorrow did not hide it from anyone and told them his thoughts. He wanted to kill the 3 commanders with intermediate king cultivation who were guarding the evil spirit king. One of them can't do it. I know his cultivation level. He's a 5-star king, and his combat power is very strong. We can try the other 2, Red Coat said. If we can get rid of one, then let's go. Night Sorrow exhaled and said. Night Sorrow now understood some of the situation. The core of the evil spirit world's life source was the evil spirit king and the 9 commander king level. If he got rid of the 9 commander king level, then the evil spirit world's life source would be reduced by 50%, and the impact on the 9 domain world would be reduced by 50%. It was the same for destroying the evil spirit king. Night Sorrow did not want to destroy the evil spirit king. Without strength, there would be no chance. However, he could still try to kill the relatively weak commanders among the intermediate king level. I'll go too. Wu Lingfei said. Aunt Fei, it's more dangerous, Night Sorrow said. He really did not want to bring Wu Lingfei along. I'll enter your space treasure. I haven't seen the Battle of the King level, so I want to see it, Wu Lingfei said. Okay, let's go together. Night Sorrow thought for a moment and felt that there was no problem, so he nodded and agreed. After putting Wu Lingfei into the dragon cauldron, Night Sorrow set off with Red Coat and Lan Ning. He did not put Red Coat and Lan Ning into the dragon cauldron because Red Coat and Lan Ning were king level, and Lan Ning was a 2-star king. Both of them were fast enough, so they did not need Night Sorrow to bring them along. In addition, Night Sorrow also needed them to lead the way. Teleporting to Haotian Mountain under Haotian City, Night Sorrow tore through space and brought Red Coat and Lan Ning into the evil spirit world. Then, they flew under Red Coat's lead. In terms of cultivation, Lan Ning was higher than Red Coat, but in terms of intelligence, Red Coat was stronger, so Red Coat was the one leading the way. On the way, Night Sorrow explained his strategy. If they wanted to fight against the strong, then the strategy would be very important. First, poison him. Then, use a violent attack to destabilize his mind. Then, use a soul attack. Very good. That way, our chances of winning will be much higher, Hong Yi said. We have to have a good chance of winning. Otherwise, we'll just throw our lives away, Night Sorrow said with a smile. Night Sorrow, how can you still smile at this moment? How big of a crisis is this? If we don't deal with the evil spirit king, our 9-domain world won't be able to pass this tribulation. Lan Ning looked at Night Sorrow and said. She felt that Night Sorrow was too arrogant. Can't pass. As long as the evil spirit world can't break through the 9-domain world, I'm not afraid. I'll just suppress them, Night Sorrow said. The evil spirit abyss is the source of the evil spirit world. If the evil spirit king cultivates there, his cultivation will increase. You are busy every day. When will you be a match for him? Lan Ning said. Hee. There are some things that you don't know. This is not my true body. My true body is also cultivating. It is cultivating in the will of heaven and earth cave of the 9 firmament world group. My cultivation and realm increase is not slow either. Night Sorrow smiled at Lan Ning. That's not right. Isn't that your clone in the heaven ceiling Great Hall? Hong Yi asked. Above, yes, I cultivate a special doppelganger technique. I've cultivated 2 doppelgangers, Yi Shan explained. He also explained the situation of his doppelganger in the heaven ceiling Great Hall. After listening to Night Sorrow's explanation, Hong Yi and Lan Ning both had an idea. Lan Ning, who was more impatient, said, Night Sorrow, can we cultivate clones? After this war, I'll think of a way for you. Yi Shang said. He would not agree with Hong Yi and Lan Ning to cultivate doppelgangers now. Cultivating doppelgangers would damage their souls. If their souls were damaged, it would affect their battle prowess. Now was a critical time. Okay, then we'll count on you. Anyway, we are strong. We are the battle power of the 9-domain world and also your fighters. Lan Ying's words were very straightforward. As long as you don't hurt the 9-domain world, I will do whatever I can for you. Night Sorrow expressed his attitude. Hong Yi and Lan Ning nodded. Both of them had walked around the 9-domain world. They had some understanding of Night Sorrow's character and temperament. They knew that Night Sorrow was a man of his words. The World Master was the core of a world. His words were the law. It was impossible for him to go back on his words. The evil spirit world was about the same size as the 9-domain world. If they were to travel by scouting, it would be very slow. Now that Night Sorrow and the other 2 were traveling at full speed, it would not take them too long to travel millions of miles. After 7 days, the 3 of them arrived at the territory of the intermediate king, Dao Yuan. When they arrived at their destination, Night Sorrow and the other 2 were very cautious. Night Sorrow also gave the antidote for the 7 absolute poison smoke to Hong Yi and Lan Ning, telling them to take the antidote if they saw Dao Yuan. Night Sorrow did not think that he would be lucky. He was a half-step king. No matter how strong his battle power was, he could not be compared to an intermediate king. The same went for Hong Yi and Lan Ning. Therefore, if they were to fight, they would use poison and fight to the death. Hong Yi and Lan Ning only knew the approximate area where Dao Yuan was. They still had to scout. They were about to fight an intermediate king. Night Sorrow was a little nervous, but he was more excited. Night Sorrow would gain a lot of benefits by killing a king. When the life of the evil spirit world died, their soul power would disperse. However, a part of it would become nutrients and be absorbed by the one who killed it. It would become the source of support. During the previous battle, Night Sorrow realized that his soul power had increased. Although it was his clone that absorbed it, Night Sorrow knew that his original body would also benefit. Regardless of whether a cultivator was a human or a shifter, once a cultivator cultivated a clone technique, the original body would always be the core. Half a day later, Lan Ning waved her arm at Night Sorrow. She had found Dao Yuan. At this time, Night Sorrow also found the target in the red battle suit. It was one of the 3 intermediate king commanders in the evil spirit world, Dao Yuan. Night Sorrow had eaten the antidote for the 7 deadly poison smoke. Hong Yi and Lan Ning had also eaten it. Although they did not say anything nervous, they were still worried about Dao Yuan. Night Sorrow and the other 2 discovered Dao Yuan. Dao Yuan also discovered the 3 of them and rushed toward them. Sensing Dao Yuan rushing toward them, Night Sorrow reminded Hong Yi and Lan Ning to use their energy to protect themselves. Then, he crushed 2 bottles of 7 deadly poison smoke. When the 7 deadly poison smoke was condensed, it was light blue. However, once it was dispersed, it was colorless and odorless. Night Sorrow, Hong Yi, and Lan Ying's energy shields had a special energy that blocked the colorless 7 deadly poison smoke. Dao Yuan arrived in front of the 3 of them. Hong Yi, Lan Ning, you 2 be asterisk cheese. You're not in your own territory but with the other races. Aren't you afraid that the evil spirit king will be angry and kill you? At this time, Dao Yuan naturally understood that Hong Yi and Lan Ning had betrayed him. You're the B asterisk cheese. What right do you have to scold us? Hong Yi was angry. In war, the winner becomes the king and the loser becomes a thief. So, there's no point in you spouting vulgarities. It only shows that you have no manners, Night Sorrow said coldly. Trash with a half-step king cultivation base. Go and die. I'll kill you later. Dao Yuan glanced at Night Sorrow. He did not care about Night Sorrow at all. Chapter 1083. You're the one who's going to die today. Night Sorrow waved his right hand, preparing for battle. The 7 deadly poison smoke had already spread. Night Sorrow was not in a hurry to fight. Stalling for time was beneficial to him. Red and Lan Ning naturally knew this, so they were not in a hurry to fight. You 2 deserve to die. I'll get rid of you on behalf of the evil spirit king. Dao Yuan's body burst with energy as soon as he finished speaking. His originally cold face became even more terrifying. Let's talk after you've done it. Who do you think you are? Do you know what we're here for today? We're here to kill you. Lan Ning growled as she slashed her long saber at Dao Yuan. Explosive. Night Sorrow realized that Lan Ning was very violent. Her personality was just like her strength, simple and violent. Lan Ning had already started the battle. Night Sorrow and Red also moved. The 3 of them began to attack Dao Yuan. Night Sorrow, Red, and Lan Ning knew that none of them had the ability or strength to fight Dao Yuan head-on. They would be at a disadvantage if they clashed with him. To solve this problem, Night Sorrow had told them not to worry about clashing with him head-on. Because the other 2 still had their killer moves, Dao Yuan could not attack one of them with all his strength. If Dao Yuan attacked with all his strength, he could definitely injure any of the 3 of them. However, he would not be able to deal with the other 2's killer moves. Hence, he could not attack one of them with all his strength. That was the truth. Dao Yuan could not attack any of the 3 of them with all his strength. When he waved his saber, he had to hold back most of his strength. This way, he could protect himself from danger. The battle had only gone on for a short while when Dao Yuan's expression changed. The 7 deadly poison smoke had taken effect. He had inhaled the 7 deadly poison smoke into his body and it had begun to take effect. Sensing that Dao Yuan's condition was not right, Night Sorrow, Red, and Lan Ying's attacks became violent. They were all attacking with all their strength. Damn it! Were you the ones who poisoned me? Dao Yuan naturally understood what was going on when he realized that something was wrong with his body. You dare to scold us? Just wait for your death. Lan Ning said. She was still angry because Dao Yuan said that she and Hong Yi were sluts. Night Sorrow had the lowest cultivation level, but his attacks were the most ferocious. His bloodline talent, power of desolates and incorporeal chi were the 3 types of energy used to cast 3 different combat techniques. All of them were the most ferocious attacks. Dao Yuan stopped talking and used a portion of his quintessential qi to suppress and expel the poison in his body. He used 70% of his quintessential qi to fight against Night Sorrow and the other two. Aunt Fei, I want to use the dragon cauldron. Be careful not to get injured. Night Sorrow shouted at Wu Lingfei inside the dragon cauldron. Then, he controlled the enlarged dragon cauldron and smashed it towards Dao Yuan. Seeing the gigantic dragon cauldron smashing towards him, there were people blocking him from behind and to the side. Unable to dodge, Saber Origin slashed upwards. Caw! Following the sound of metal clashing, the dragon cauldron was sent flying by Dao Yuan's slash. However, it did not break. The dragon cauldron was a defensive treasure. Its strongest point was its defense. After sending the dragon cauldron flying, Dao Yuan did not have it easy either. His body trembled from the impact. His right arm that was holding the sword also trembled uncontrollably. At this moment, Hong Yi, who was good at seizing opportunities, slashed her sword across Dao Yuan's back. Although Dao Yuan had a protective shield, Hong Yi's slash still caused him quite a bit of injury. A wound that was so deep that his bones could be seen appeared. Blood flowed down his robes. Translator, Timothy_editor, Globeglotter. Seeing that Hong Yi had made a breakthrough, Night Sorrow told Lan Ning to attack violently. Even if he was injured, he had to make Dao Yuan's blood flow turbulent and his mind unstable. After informing Lan Ning to do this, Night Sorrow did the same. He didn't defend and focused all his energy on attacking. Brat, I'll kill you first. Dao Yuan charged forward and slashed at Yi Shang with his saber. After fighting for a while, Dao Yuan realized that Night Sorrow was the core of the three's cooperation. So, he wanted to kill Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow made up his mind. He did not dodge Dao Yuan's slash. Instead, he used space-twisting dragon kill to attack Dao Yuan's Dantian. He was going to die together with Dao Yuan. Night Sorrow's tactic stunned Dao Yuan. Night Sorrow did not care about his life. Trading injuries for a life. I'll do it. Dao Yuan raised his eyebrows. He pushed his protective shield to the max and continued slashing downwards. He did not care about Night Sorrow's space-twisting dragon kill. He did not believe that Night Sorrow, who was half a step away from King, could do any harm to him. At the critical moment, alchemical cauldron patterns appeared around Night Sorrow's body. Within the alchemical cauldron patterns, there was the scene of time flowing. Night Sorrow planned to exchange blows with Dao Yuan. Naturally, he defended with all his might. The alchemical cauldron patterns were sent back into Night Sorrow's body by Dao Yuan's slash. The scene of time flowing appeared. It was a protective shield formed by the will of time supporting the power of desolates. Night Sorrow and Dao Yuan's attacks hit each other almost at the same time. Night Sorrow's space-twisting dragon kill was based on the spiral force. Its penetrative power was extremely strong. It directly pierced a hole in Dao Yuan's protective shield and pierced Dao Yuan's heart with space-twisting dragon kill. Dao Yuan's domineering slash shattered Night Sorrow's alchemical cauldron patterns and the power of Desolate's protective shield. The mid-level King's domineering attack had exceeded Night Sorrow's expectations. It was offset by the dragon cauldron and the protective shield supported by the will of space. Dao Yuan's remaining attack power was extremely strong. The entire blade slashed into Night Sorrow's body and into Night Sorrow's collarbone. Night Sorrow raised his left hand. His left hand, which was infused with energy, grabbed the back of Dao Yuan's blade. His right hand used space-twisting dragon kill. The exchange between Night Sorrow and Dao Yuan only lasted for an instant. However, Blood Robes and Lan Ning would not let go of this opportunity. Blood Robes' sword pierced Dao Yuan's back. Lan Ning, who was near Dao Yuan's left, cut off Dao Yuan's left arm. Due to his miscalculation, Dao Yuan, who was severely injured, roared and pushed Night Sorrow forward. Night Sorrow's body paused. He used all his strength to block Dao Yuan and then used Soul Destruction slash. Night Sorrow could have used Soul Destruction slash long ago. However, he had not used it because he felt that he had to save his trump card for an opportunity to kill in one strike. Now was the opportunity. Dao Yuan was too close to Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow's Soul Destruction/Crescent Moon Blade directly entered Dao Yuan's Spirit Sea. When Soul Destruction/ entered Dao Yuan's Spirit Sea, it was blocked by Dao Yuan's Soul Power. When Dao Yuan used his Soul Power to defend, his combat awareness was low. Red Robe's longsword in Dao Yuan's body pressed down by 3 inches. Night Sorrow took 2 steps forward. Covering Sky Hand. Night Sorrow roared and used Covering Sky Hand, which he had not used in a long time. He pressed it toward Dao Yuan's head. Red Robes pressed her longsword down with all her might. She planned to cut Dao Yuan's legs with her longsword from his back, cutting him in half. Dao Yuan, who was in an extremely low state, was unable to dodge Night Sorrow's Covering Sky Hand. With a cracking sound, Dao Yuan's head was crushed by Night Sorrow's Covering Sky Hand. He could not be more dead. Chapter 1084. Dao Yuan's head was smashed by Night Sorrow's Heaven Covering Hand. His body was cut by Hong Yi's sword from his back to between his legs. His dantian was cut open, and Lanning waved her sword in an unknown direction. Night Sorrow, are you okay? Lanning, who had put away her sword, asked as she supported Night Sorrow. External injuries. They are nothing compared to the results of the battle, Night Sorrow said as he looked at his shoulder after putting away Sky Splitter. The wound on Night Sorrow's shoulder was no longer bleeding and had begun to heal. Let's take it slow. We can still kill him. You shouldn't take such a risk, Hong Yi, who had put away her sword, said worriedly. Night Sorrow nodded. He knew that he could kill Dao Yuan even if he didn't go all out. He was worried that a long delay would cause trouble. The sooner he killed him, the better. Dao Yuan was killed by Night Sorrow, Hong Yi, and Lanning. His soul dispersed and was absorbed by Night Sorrow and the other 2. Then, the 3 of them began to meditate. Hong Yi and Lanning couldn't do this originally. When the 3 of them killed the beginner king, they didn't get any benefits. Now, they got the benefits because they thought they were from the 9-domain world and had the 9-domain sources as the origin of life. Not bad. We have gained a lot. Our soul power is much stronger. We have to do more of this, Lanning said as she stretched. You are too violent, Night Sorrow said as he stood up after finishing his cultivation. Night Sorrow, how is your body now? Hong Yi was more attentive. She was worried that Night Sorrow's injuries were serious. My external injuries are fine, but there is some energy left in my body. It will take a few days to refine and force it out, Yi Futian said. Yi Shang had gained a lot from killing Dao Yuan this time. Aside from the energy that his doppelganger had refined to replenish his soul, there was also some milky white energy that occupied the periphery of Yi Shang's divine sea. Yi Shang knew that it was energy that could strengthen one's soul, but he could not take it for now. Regarding this issue, Night Sorrow had discussed it with the 9-domain origins. Since it belonged to Night Sorrow's true body, his avatar could not take it. The doppelganger was just storing it for the main body. Then you can refine it first. We'll wait for you. When you've recovered to your peak state, we'll go and kill Lai Yan. We're not in a hurry anyway. Hong Yi nodded. Raging Flame was Night Sorrow's team of 3's second target. The other target was the intermediate King Azure River. Night Sorrow's team of 3 did not plan on taking action right now. The main reason was because Azure River's cultivation base and combat power were very high. It would be dangerous for the 3 of them to encounter him. Night Sorrow took out 2 tents. He gave one to Red Spectre and Blue Shadow, and he went into the tent to heal himself. No matter what, Dao Yuan was still an intermediate king. After giving Night Sorrow a slash, not to mention the external injuries, the energy left in Night Sorrow's body was also very domineering. It would take Night Sorrow some time to deal with it. Red Spectre and Blue Shadow looked at each other in the tent. Both of them were shocked. Neither of them dared to take Dao Yuan's attack head-on. If they did, they would be cut in half. However, Night Sorrow had withstood it. One had to know that Night Sorrow was only a half-step king. The other two also knew that following Night Sorrow would have a bright future. It was much better than being a commander in the evil spirit world. Only when the evil spirit world broke through the 9-domain world would they have a chance to stand out. However, it was impossible to reach this step at the moment. Many of the evil spirit world's lifeforms had been destroyed. The origin energy was weak, and it could not break through the 9-domain world. In Night Sorrow's words, as long as they could not break through the 9-domain world, he would not have to worry. He could continue to suppress them. Blue Shadow gave Red Spectre a thumbs up because she knew that Night Sorrow did not kill her and chose to subdue her. Red Spectre only smiled. She had the best relationship with Blue Shadow in the evil spirit world. Therefore, she was willing to help Blue Shadow and fight side by side with her if possible. Red Spectre, if we extinguish Lai Yan, the 9-domain world will be even more stable, Blue Shadow said. Lai Yan is stronger than Dao Yuan, but it's limited. It won't be difficult to destroy him. I'm wondering if I can think of a way to kill Azure River. That way, there will only be one evil spirit king left, and the threat will be reduced, Red Spectre said. But you and I both know that Sung Jiang is the strongest of the 9 commanders. He's not on the same level as us. We can't even take one of his attacks. If we can't even take one hit, then the effect of the joint battle will be lost. Lan Ning explained the difficulties. The premise of a joint battle was to be able to withstand the opponent's attack. Dao Yuan's attack could not be fully used. Night Sorrow and the other two could kill him, but this method would not work on Azure River. Even if Azure River held back to defend, a casual attack was not something that Night Sorrow and the other two could withstand because the difference in cultivation level was too great. Then we'll wait. When the commander recovers, we'll discuss it together. Not only is the commander strong in combat, but he's also good at strategizing. It's not something we can compare to, Red Spectre said. She knew that being able to successfully kill Dao Yuan had a lot to do with Night Sorrow's perfect strategizing. Night Sorrow healed his wounds while refining and forcing Dao Yuan's energy out of his body. Dao Yuan was an intermediate king. The energy he possessed was very domineering, much stronger than Gong Yanglie's. Night Sorrow used half a month to recover to his peak state. Night Sorrow, we're not in a hurry. Currently, only Lai Yan can move. We have a lot of time, and your situation is very important, Blue Shadow said as she looked at Night Sorrow, who was about to leave. I've already recovered. Let's get rid of Lai Yan first. There are only 2 commanders left in the evil spirit world. If the evil spirit king makes a move, we'll lose the chance to get rid of Lai Yan. We can't drag this out. If we drag this out, there will be variables, Night Sorrow said. Alright, we'll listen to you. Let's get rid of Lai Yan before resting. Blue Shadow nodded. She understood that Night Sorrow viewed the 9 regions world as extremely important. He had to do whatever he could for the 9 regions. Then, the 3 set off, with Red Spectre leading the way. Red Spectre, what's going on with the evil spirit abyss? Night Sorrow asked. I know about this. The evil spirit world is the world of the heavenly Tao's tribulation. It has existed for a long time, but the evil spirit abyss is not. It has existed for a long time. In other words, the evil spirit world was formed with the evil spirit abyss as the main body. The evil spirit king has also existed for a long time, Blue Shadow said. RQ front P front backslash, how do you know about this? Red Spectre looked at Blue Shadow in surprise because she didn't know about this. That bastard evil spirit king had thoughts about me, so he told me some things and even threatened me. Blue Shadow, who was wearing a blue robe, had a shy and angry look on her face. So that's how it is. Then how much do you know about the evil spirit king? Night Sorrow asked. He's a yin-yang person. Sometimes, he appears as a man, sometimes as a woman. I don't know what kind of life he is, but he's very strong. At that time, the strongest of the 9 commanders, Sung Jiang, was somewhat arrogant and was taken care of by him. The current Sung Jiang is a man when he was a woman, Blue Shadow said. Chapter 1085. What a filthy thing. Goosebumps appeared all over his body, and Night Sorrow shivered. He had never thought about the situation of the evil spirit king. Yes, it has 2 heads, 4 hands and 4 feet. However, it usually only appears on one side and the other is behind it. Lanning nodded. Fortunately, your taste is normal. Night Sorrow looked at Lanning and said with a smile. What are you talking about? Although my temper is too good, everything else is no different from an ordinary person. That guy is very dirty. In any case, I think he's very dirty. Lanning looked at Night Sorrow with disdain and said. Ha! He's definitely not as pleasing to the eye as you, Night Sorrow. Hong Yi said with a smile. Hong Yi, you've also become bad. Night Sorrow shook his head helplessly. Because his soul force was in the divine sense CS of Hong Yi and Lanning, he could feel their thoughts. Right now, he could feel that both Hong Yi and Lanning had a good impression of him. Of course, Night Sorrow did not know if this good impression was of a friend or a man or woman. Night Sorrow, hurry up and enter the king's realm. That 9 regions world will produce a place where the will of the heavens and earth manifests in advance. Our realm and strength will increase a little faster. At that time, who in the 9 clouds world group will bully you? Lanning said. Alright, it won't be too long. I won't let you down. Night Sorrow nodded and said. There's no need to be too anxious. Let's get rid of the flames first and then talk about this. Hong Yi shook her head. She also didn't want Night Sorrow to feel too much pressure. Hong Yi and Lanning were not sovereigns of the 9-domain world. They had not broken the shackles of the 9-domain world that prevented them from producing sovereigns. In the 9-domain world, their realms and powers could not increase. Only when Yishang entered the sovereign realm could they continue to increase their realms and powers in the 9-domain world. Night Sorrow nodded. He also hoped that Hong Yi and Lanning would become stronger. This was beneficial to the 9-domain world. The more experts there were in the 9-domain world, the stronger it would be and the more stable it would be. As for whether Hong Yi and Lanning would have other thoughts or become a threat, Yishang was not worried because his soul power had merged with the 2 women's god pearls. He knew what Hong Yi and Lanning were thinking. He could kill them with a single thought. The territories of Dao Yuan, Lai Yan, and Sungjiang formed a triangle that guarded the evil spirit abyss. Therefore, the area where Lai Yan was located was not far from the area ruled by Dao Yuan. After half a month, Night Sorrow and the other 2 passed through Dao Yuan's territory and entered the area ruled by Lai Yan. What are the styles and characteristics of raging flames? Night Sorrow asked as a battle could break out at any time. King of the fire attribute will of heaven and earth. He is an evil life being. Unlike us, he is not made of flesh and blood. He has the flame spirit flame body and is good at large-scale attacks. It can be said that he lives in a world of fire, Hong Yi said. This is not easy to deal with. Night Sorrow was stunned when he heard what Hong Yi said. His large-scale attacks are difficult to deal with, but the damage is average. It is not as strong as a single attack, so it is not much of a threat, Lanning explained. That's fine. If we can't handle large-scale attacks, then we won't be able to work together, Night Sorrow said. What Hong Yi said at the beginning had really shocked him. But you have to be mentally prepared. It will definitely be harder than killing Dao Yuan. Lanning nodded. Let's rest first. Let me show you something. After stopping, Night Sorrow took out the formation diagram of the 3-person joint attack. He explained to Hong Yi and Lanning the positioning, attack, and defense of the joint attack formation. Joint attack formation. Looking at Night Sorrow, Hong Yi said with some surprise. Night Sorrow nodded. He did not tell Lanning and Hong Yi about this before because time was short and he felt that it was unnecessary. Now that Raging Flames was strong, it was necessary to make more preparations. Night Sorrow then taught Hong Yi and Lan Ning how to cultivate the joint attack formation. The three of them were now the three strongest people in the 9 regions world. The joint attack formation formed by the three of them was the strongest trump card of the 9 regions world. Hong Yi and Lan Ning were both King Realm cultivators. The cultivation of a joint attack formation was naturally not difficult for them. It took them 2 days to master the joint attack formation. Night Sorrow, in addition to alchemy and artifact refining, you are also proficient in spirit arrays? Lan Ning asked when they were on the road again. #B on section R of the new chapter, N, because artifact refining requires engraving spirit arrays, I have also studied some spirit arrays. I am currently a Saint King Grade Array Master. Night Sorrow nodded. Because of the influence of his realm, Night Sorrow's combat and support skills were at the peak below the King realm. You're ruthless enough. It's hard not to admire you. Right. Since that's the case, we can arrange a spirit array to trap and kill raging flames. Wouldn't that be much easier? Lan Ning said. If we know where raging flames is in advance, I can arrange a large spirit array nearby and lure him into it. Although the spirit array cannot cause him much damage, it can still affect him. Night Sorrow pointed out the difficulty. And, this is indeed a difficult problem to solve. If we can solve this problem, we can all try to deal with Tseng Jiang, Lan Ning exhaled and said. It's not that there's no way, a spirit array disc can solve this problem, but refining a spirit array disc is very troublesome. I don't have any preparations in this regard. This time, we'll kill raging flames first, then I'll go back and make some preparations. I'll go get some materials to refine a spirit array disc. If I can refine one myself, that would be best, but if I can't, I'll pay a high price and exchange resources with others, Night Sorrow said after thinking for a while. Lan Ying's words gave Night Sorrow some ideas. The scene of Chen Bai and Black Wind using an array disc to trap the Vajra monarch in the Endless Weave was still fresh in Night Sorrow's mind. As for the spirit array disc, if Night Sorrow wanted to use it, there would definitely be one. It was just that the channels to obtain it were different, either through refining or buying. Night Sorrow had a lot of treasures now, so it was still possible for him to exchange for high-grade and top-grade spirit array discs. The No-Beginning Sovereign was a high-level array master, and the No-Beginning Spirit Array disc was his masterpiece. In addition, the mysterious Heaven Sovereign still owed Night Sorrow a favor, so it wasn't difficult to ask him for a spirit array disc. The Seven Rain Sovereign was also a channel. Night Sorrow had the soul cultivation liquid in his hands, so it was very easy for him to get the monarch to do something for him. It just depended on whether he was willing to take out the soul cultivation liquid or not. In addition, it was necessary to prepare some spirit array discs. Tseng Jiang was nothing, but the biggest threat was the evil Spirit King. It was also necessary to get a top-grade spirit array disc for a rainy day. What are you thinking about? Lan Ning looked at Night Sorrow and asked. You gave me some inspiration. There are strong people in the 9 firmament world, and they also have top-grade spirit array discs. I can get some top-grade spirit array discs. When the evil Spirit King appears, we can use them. This is equivalent to having some solutions. At the very least, it can restrict the evil Spirit King's methods, Night Sorrow said. Spirit array discs to deal with the evil Spirit King? What level would that require? Can you get it? Lan Ning was a little doubtful. Chapter 1086. We don't know yet, but we can find someone to ask. Let's kill Lai Yen first and study Azure River before we talk about the evil Spirit King. In fact, we can know where Lai Yen is in advance, but we don't have to go through so much trouble with the combined attack formation, Night Sorrow said. How do we know where Lai Yen is in advance? Red asked. It's very simple. Lai Yen is the sovereign king of the will of the fire world. He will definitely find a place with dense flames to reside in. In addition, he also has a dense fire aura. We can sense it in advance. Night Sorrow explained the reason why he knew where Lai Yen resided in advance. Indeed, we didn't think too much about it. If the three of us use the combined attack formation, it won't be a big problem. We can kill our way over now. Red nodded. The three of them chatted as they continued to search for Lai Yan. If Lai Yan was eliminated, the evil spirit world would lose a high-level warlord, which would be a great blow to the evil spirit world. After searching for 3 days, Night Sorrow waved his hand to stop Red and Laning. The fire energy in front is relatively strong. If I'm not wrong, Lai Yan is in front. Red and Laning nodded. They also felt it. I didn't plan to set up a formation, but now that I have the chance, I'll set up a formation. It's not very troublesome anyway. Night Sorrow began to set up the formation. It was the Thousand Derivation Illusory Formation and Black Entropy's Great Cycle Formation. Although he felt that with the combined attack formation, killing Lai Yan would not be a big problem, Night Sorrow felt that it was good to have an extra layer of insurance. This way, they could prevent some variables. In 15 minutes, Night Sorrow finished setting up the formation. It's done. Lan Ying's eyes were filled with doubt. Do you only believe in its power after I set it up in a few days? This formation can trap a beginner king. It can't trap a mid-level king, but it can affect it. Night Sorrow took out a wine jar and took a sip. Well, let's get to work. The sooner we finish, the sooner we can be at ease. Red nodded to Lan Ying. She believed in Night Sorrow. It's not that I don't believe it, I just feel that this array formation is a bit too fast. Lan Ying shook her head and said. You two enter my spatial magic treasure as well. I will approach through spatial turbulence and catch them off guard. When the time comes, we will tear open space and kill them, Night Sorrow said to Red Shirt and Blue Shadow. Seeing Hong Yi and Lan Ying nod, Night Sorrow's soul power surged, enveloping the two women and bringing them into the dragon cauldron. He then used Space Crack and entered the turbulent space to investigate. After advancing for an hour, Night Sorrow entered the dragon cauldron. How's Night Sorrow doing? Wu Lingfei, who couldn't participate in the battle, asked worriedly. Found him. I can't detect his cultivation base. We can only fight him head-on, Night Sorrow said. Then we'll start in a while. Lan Ying was an impatient person. Knowing the location of the flames, she was full of fighting spirit. Okay, I'll be the main attacker. Blue Shadow will come in second, and Red Spectre will follow behind to deal the killing blow, Night Sorrow joked. Among the three, Lan Ying's cultivation base was the highest, followed by Red Spectre, and Night Sorrow was the lowest. However, in terms of strength, Night Sorrow was the strongest. Whether it was attack power, speed, or defense, Night Sorrow was the highest among the three. Okay, then we'll do as you say. Lan Ying nodded. She didn't try to be brave because Night Sorrow's combat power was indeed much stronger than hers. After drinking a pot of tea made by Wu Lingfei, Night Sorrow nodded to Red Spectre and Blue Collar. Energy enveloped the two of them and brought them out of the dragon cauldron. Bringing the two women to where Lai Yan was, Night Sorrow didn't say anything to Red Spectre and Lan Ying. He directly used Space Crack. As soon as Night Sorrow used Space Crack, Red Spectre and Lan Ying rushed out. The two of them waved their weapons and attacked Lai Yan, who was still in a daze. Following closely behind, Night Sorrow used Space Crack and used Space Whirling Dragon Kill to attack Lai Yan. Lai Yan was a humanoid life form that was more than 2 feet tall. Its body was completely composed of flames. There was a spinning energy vortex in its dantian, and its head was relatively solid. Night Sorrow knew that Lai Yan was a flame energy body, but the core was no different from a human cultivator. The main parts of the body were still the dantian and divine sense C, so Night Sorrow attacked Lai Yan's dantian, because Lan Ying's saber attacked Lai Yan's head, which was the area where the divine sense C was located. Red Spectre's longsword attacked Lai Yan's back, which was also the position of her dantian. Red Spectre, Lan Ying, you two trash dare to attack my Lai Yan. Today, I will kill you. Seeing Red Spectre and Lan Ying attack her, Lai Yan roared. The fiery red longsword in her right arm blocked up and down. She leaned to the side and punched behind her. Let's fight. Don't talk nonsense. Lan Ying's saber continued to slash down fiercely. Night Sorrow's attack was an attack that Lai Yan had to spend energy to deal with. After blocking Night Sorrow's attack, it would not be so easy for Lai Yan to block her attack again. Red Spectre's body flashed, dodging Lai Yan's punch. His longsword continued to attack Lai Yan's back. Lai Yan blocked Night Sorrow's attack and repelled Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow retreated, and Lan Ying's attack reached the top of Lai Yan's head. At this time, Lai Yan waved her longsword to block, but it was a little too late. It was also a little hasty, and the energy burst could not keep up. She was killed by Lan Ying's saber, and her legs sank into the ground. At this time, Red Spectre, who was attacking behind Lai Yan, also broke through Lai Yan's protective shield. The sword chi pierced into Lai Yan's body. With a low roar, Lai Yan waved the long sword in her right hand and repelled Lan Ying. Then, she turned around and kicked Red Spectre back. However, Night Sorrow's attack came again. This time, Night Sorrow used the Void Extreme Kill. Damn it! Feeling Night Sorrow's suppressive aura, Lai Yan roared. The fiery red longsword in her hand faced Night Sorrow's Sky Rend. As the purple halo on Night Sorrow's Sky Rend exploded, the fiery red and almost transparent longsword in Lai Yan's hand was annihilated from the tip until it was 2 feet long. While Lai Yan was shocked, Lan Ying's long saber slashed across Lai Yan's left shoulder, taking away a piece of red energy. After the energy left Lai Yan's body, it turned into a piece of fiery red ore. That was Lai Yan's body. Flame ore, a king-level top-grade material. The energy that fell from Lai Yan's body, after solidifying, was a top-grade refining material, flame Oregon. Several figures flew on the ground and in the air. Lai Yan's king was very strong, but Night Sorrow's group of three's attack formation was well coordinated, and their defense and attack complemented each other. Lai Yan could not injure anyone, even if she wanted to break them one by one. Red Spectre, Lan Ying, you two bitches, aren't you afraid of the evil spirit king's anger? Just wait for your death. A third of the energy in her body was cut off by Night Sorrow's group. Lai Yan did not plan to fight anymore. Her body flashed and began to escape. Lai Yan's escape speed was very fast. The burst of flame energy increased her movement speed. Night Sorrow's expression changed. He communicated with Red Spectre and Lan Ying with his soul power. The three of them forced Lai Yan to run in the direction of the formation. Chapter 1087. After listening to Night Sorrow's reminder, Hong Yi and Lan Ying blocked the two sides of Lai Yan's body. Night Sorrow's Will of Time and Will of Space were both added to his movement technique, and he even used the sky-piercing spear shooting technique. After being disturbed by Night Sorrow, Lai Yan's body flashed twice, overtaking Night Sorrow who was chasing him, and ran in the opposite direction. He was not afraid of Night Sorrow, but if he was entangled, Hong Yi and Lan Ying would rush up, and he would still be in a difficult battle. Lai Yan turned around, and with the influence of Hong Yi and Lan Ying's position, the direction Lai Yan left in was the direction Night Sorrow and the other two had come from, which was also the direction where Night Sorrow had set up the formation. Lai Yan's speed was very fast. He did not fight and only ran. Night Sorrow and the other two were really not his opponent, and the distance between them was slowly pulled apart. Night Sorrow was very helpless. At this time, he could only resign himself to fate. If Lai Yan rushed into the formation, then he was unlucky. If he did not enter the formation, then this hunt would end in failure. Poison was effective when hunting Dao Yuan, but it was useless against Lai Yan. Lai Yan was a fire energy body, and the poisonous smoke would be burned when it got close. It was impossible to have any effect. Although Night Sorrow and the other two could not catch up, it still had an invisible influence on Lai Yan. He was running in a straight line. In just a quarter of an hour, Lai Yan rushed to where Night Sorrow and the other two were resting, which was the place where the formation was set up, and rushed into the formation. Follow the guidance of my soul power. Enter the formation and attack with all your strength. Seeing Lai Yan rush into the formation, Night Sorrow was very excited. The opportunity had come again. Whether they could kill Lai Yan or not depended on whether they could seize this opportunity. This was an opportunity obtained by luck. The formation was Night Sorrow's home ground. Other than Night Sorrow, whether it was Lai Yan, Hong Yi, or Lan Ning, they were all blind. Their soul power was blocked by the illusion formation. At this time, Raging Flame also understood that he had fallen into an array formation. He could only attack, intending to break the array formation by force. If there was no one guarding it, the formation would not have been able to withstand the violent attacks of the King of Flames. However, Night Sorrow was guarding the formation. He blocked the energy released by the flames and directed the red coat and blue shadow to attack at the same time. Fighting a blind man with his eyes wide open was the portrayal of the four people inside the formation. With the help of the array formation, Night Sorrow was able to neutralize Raging Flame's King's attack much easier than outside the array formation. 15 minutes later, Night Sorrow informed Blue Shadow and Red Coat to attack violently. He also used a continuous battle skill, Void Extreme Point Kill and Spatial Shockwave, to attack Lai Yan violently. Night Sorrow wanted to end the battle. The array formation was almost exhausted by the sputtering energy of the four people in the battle. It would be broken in a moment, so Night Sorrow wanted to end the battle quickly. Noticing that Night Sorrow's space splitter had pierced out from the void, Lai Yan's right arm shook and he threw out a punch. His weapon had been damaged by Night Sorrow's previous attacks, so he could attack bare-chested. A purple halo burst out from a point once again, and then annihilated Lai Yan's right fist. In addition, Lan Ying's long blade, under Night Sorrow's guidance, also slashed through the air. His target was the back of Lai Yan's head. Hong Yi's long sword appeared, attacking the back of Lai Yan's heart. All three of them used their killing moves. With his right hand crippled, Lai Yan's left fist punched out, continuing to block Night Sorrow's attack. At the same time, he twisted his body to avoid Lan Ning and Red Coat's killing moves. Facing the attack of Lai Yan's left hand, Night Sorrow's space vibration wave exerted force, and the energy continued to vibrate and consume Lai Yan's attack. Lan Ying's long blade did not slash at Lai Yan's head. It cut down from Lai Yan's shoulder and directly cut off Lai Yan's right arm. Hong Yi's long sword also pierced into Lai Yan's waist. Soul Annihilation Slash. Seeing that Lan Ning and Red Coat's attacks were effective, Night Sorrow gritted his teeth and used Soul Annihilation Slash. If it wasn't necessary, Night Sorrow really didn't want to use Soul Annihilation Slash. Lai Yan was a fire energy body, and the periphery of the Divine Sense C was also fire energy. It was harmful to Night Sorrow's Soul Annihilation Slash Crescent Moon Blade. At this time, Night Sorrow didn't have much of a chance. The array formation was about to be broken. If he couldn't kill Lai Yan, then he wouldn't have another chance. Needle-like pain. The fire energy burned Night Sorrow's Soul Annihilation Slash, making him feel very uncomfortable. However, he also endured the Crescent Moon Blade and cut through the fire energy into Lai Yan's Divine Sense C. Lan Ning, 2 feet to the left, slash again. Night Sorrow growled. With the Divine Sense C being attacked, Lai Yan's intelligence fell into a daze. She was unable to dodge Lan Ying's attack and her head was cut open by Lan Ying's blade. Night Sorrow's Soul Annihilation Slash also broke through Lai Yan's Divine Sense C. The fire energy on Lai Yan's body stabilized and her body gradually solidified into a fiery red ore. Night Sorrow, who had retracted the Soul Annihilation Crescent Moon Blade, swayed for a moment and his face turned pale. The fire energy was very harmful to the Soul Annihilation Crescent Moon Blade condensed from his soul force. Taking a deep breath, Night Sorrow paused the operation of the array formation. The energy dissipated and the surroundings were a mess. The battle between the four of them had caused a huge impact on this place. Night Sorrow, are you alright? Hong Yi stepped forward to support Night Sorrow. Both she and Lan Ning could see that Night Sorrow's condition wasn't right. And, I'm a little injured. It won't be a big problem after resting and recovering. Are you guys okay? Night Sorrow asked. Hong Yi and Lan Ning nodded. The pressure of the battle was borne by Night Sorrow. The two of them really didn't have much of a problem. La Ning, go to the first battlefield and collect the ore formed from La Yan's energy. That's a top-grade material for refining. Night Sorrow pointed to La Ning in the direction of the first battle with La Yan. La Ning nodded and went to do her job. She also knew that it was a top-grade material. When La Ning returned, Night Sorrow brought La Ning and Hong Yi into the Dragon Cauldron. Night Sorrow, are you alright? Wu Lingfei asked. Night Sorrow didn't let the Dragon Cauldron's artifact spirit seal the Dragon Cauldron, so Wu Lingfei knew everything that happened outside. It's not a big problem. It's just that when I used the soul extinguishing slash, my soul was burned by La Yan's fire energy. I'll be fine after recovering. There are only two experts left in the evil spirit world, the evil spirit king and Sung Jiang. The evil spirit world doesn't pose much of a threat to the nine-domain world. After killing La Yan, Night Sorrow felt a lot more at ease. The king-level commander of the evil spirit world had already been subdued and killed by Night Sorrow. The origin of the evil spirit world had weakened a lot. With Night Sorrow's clone controlling the heaven-sealing Great Hall to suppress it, the evil spirit world had no possibility of breaking through the nine-domain world. There was only one crisis left, whether the evil spirit king would attack the nine-domain world. The matter has been settled. You should have a good rest. Wu Lingfei brewed a pot of tea for Night Sorrow. I'll make a trip to the mysterious sky world and see if I can get the array disc. I'll leave the array disc to my clone in the heaven-sealing Great Hall to prevent the evil spirit king and Sung Jiang from charging into the nine-domain world. This way, the situation can be stabilized. When I'm strong enough, I'll go in and kill them. Night Sorrow spoke his thoughts. Original Wu Lingfei, La Ning, and Hong Yi didn't have any objections to Night Sorrow's decision. At this moment, Night Sorrow was thinking about who to find to solve the problem of the array disc. The Seven Rain Sovereign or the No Beginning Sovereign. Night Sorrow naturally hoped that the Seven Rain Sovereign could take out the array disc to exchange for his soul cultivation liquid. After all, they were still related. Chapter 1088. The crux of the problem was that it was hard to say whether the Seven Rain Sovereign was good at arrays or not. If he asked, the Seven Rain Sovereign would not be able to get the array disc, and things would not end well. Should he give the soul cultivation liquid or not? What was left for Night Sorrow was a problem. Night Sorrow was sure that the No Beginning Sovereign could refine array discs, and the No Beginning array disc was made by him. After thinking for a while, Night Sorrow shook his head. The Seven Rain Sovereign was really generous. This time, he even sent Ao Luyun to help him. He should give him a chance. Whether he had the array disc or not, he would see. Night Sorrow did not say these words to anyone. There was no point in talking. He had to deal with it himself. After dealing with La Yan, Night Sorrow was much more relaxed. They were not in a hurry. After a month, Night Sorrow and the rest returned to the Nine Regions world. After staying with his family for 2 days, Night Sorrow took the transmission array to Big Dipper City. He met Ao Luyun in the inn. You should not have shown yourself. Night Sorrow had just entered the inn when Ao Luyun appeared. I have something to ask you this time. Night Sorrow went straight to the point. Speak. What is it? See if I can do it. Hearing Night Sorrow's words, Ao Luyun was stunned. I want to see the Seven Rain Sovereign. I have something to discuss with him. Night Sorrow said. All right, I will go back and talk to Master. Ao Luyun stood up and said. Night Sorrow also stood up. At the same time, he handed a soul crystal to Ao Luyun. When you come back, crush my soul crystal. I will come immediately. After parting with Ao Luyun, Night Sorrow returned to the mansion behind the Sage Master Pavilion. The problem of the Nine Regions world had been solved. Now, he had to pay attention to the situation in the Heaven Profound world. After staying in the Sage Master Pavilion for 2 days and discussing the current situation with Bei Xing, Night Sorrow felt that everything was stable. He returned to Seven Nights City. After looking at the city's construction, he went to Seven Nights Lake. When Night Sorrow arrived at the Seven Night Lake, he saw that his 3 wives, Xuexi, and Zhu Jiuyun were all there. Jiuyun, how is your original body? Night Sorrow asked Zhu Jiuyun. I don't know. I'm still trying to comprehend it. It's hard to say when I'll be able to make it. Zhu Jiuyun shook his head. After hearing Zhu Jiuyun's words, Yi Shang, who was holding the teacup, stopped moving. Then his aura began to change. The scene of time flowing appeared on his body, and the aura on his body became mysterious. Half an hour later, Night Sorrow finally moved. His face was filled with joy. Sovereign King. Zhu Jiuyun looked at Yi Shang with surprise and shock in his eyes. Forever equals free of our fee, Time King, 2-star Time King, early stage. Night Sorrow waved his arms. His heart was filled with joy. His original body's cultivation was very effective. He was very happy. Directly reaching 2-star King, this is a joyous occasion. I'll prepare some dishes to celebrate, Yang Lei said excitedly. While drinking, Night Sorrow was still thinking. 13, this is such a joyous occasion. Why aren't you saying anything? What are you thinking about? Aoi looked at Night Sorrow and asked. I'm thinking about whether I should continue to break through the will of time or switch to cultivating the will of space. I think if I have a request, 9 Heavens Pagoda should agree. Night Sorrow spoke his thoughts. I think you should continue to break through the will of time. This way, you will have great achievements in one direction. Zhu Jiuyun spoke his thoughts. Sikong Chuyu and the others discussed for a moment and came to the same conclusion. There are some things you are not clear about. After entering the King state, my will of time can be cultivated even if I am not in an area where the will of heaven and earth manifests. However, the will of space is different. I think I should reach the beginner level of the will of space. That way, I can continue to cultivate the will of space even when I am not inside 9 Heavens Pagoda. Additionally, while I have the will of time, my cultivation base has not caught up, Night Sorrow said. The reason Night Sorrow had woken up from his meditative state was because he had broken through the bottleneck of the 2-star King state. The difference between the power and cultivation base within his body was too great. Thus, his meditative state was forcibly interrupted. Then, we'll do as you say. Sikong Chuyu and the others nodded. After listening to Night Sorrow's analysis, they had changed their minds. Next, Night Sorrow and the others drank together. Everyone was very happy. After Night Sorrow's original body stopped cultivating, he called for 9 Heavens Pagoda's essence. 9 Heavens Pagoda's essence appeared. First, it congratulated Night Sorrow. Next, it asked Night Sorrow why he had called for it. Senior, I have already reached the beginner level of the will of time. Now, I want to cultivate the will of space. That way, if I can reach the beginner level of the will of heaven and earth, my cultivation in this grotto will be complete, Night Sorrow said, bowing. Good, that is not a problem. Whenever you want to cultivate a will, you can inform me. As long as it is below the autark level, I will cooperate with you while you are cultivating. Additionally, I have already isolated your aura. Lightning tribulation will not descend for now. The moment you exit 9 Heavens Pagoda, lightning tribulation will descend. The voice of 9 Heavens Pagoda's essence entered Night Sorrow's ears. Night Sorrow thanks Senior. Night Sorrow bowed again. At that moment, the scenery around Night Sorrow's body began changing. The display of the will of time had also shifted to space. Once again sitting down cross-legged, Night Sorrow took out the King-class Silver Dragon blood essence he had obtained during the auction. He absorbed the energy within it to cultivate. When Night Sorrow had arrived, he had already made some preparations. He had the basic resources in his storage ring. Whether it was the will of space or the will of time, as long as he entered the King realm, he could cultivate them quickly and keep up with his cultivation base. Now that his cultivation had entered the 2-star Sovereign King realm, Yi Shang was very confident. Once his cultivation increased, he would even be able to fight against a middle-stage sovereign king. Holding the silver dragon blood essence, Knight Sorrow's original body entered the state of comprehension once more. 7 Night City. After drinking the celebratory wine, Knight Sorrow began cultivating his combat skills. With his cultivation base, he would be able to control more will of heaven and earth. The power of his combat skills would also increase. Thus, Knight Sorrow needed to familiarize himself with and master his combat skills. Because his cultivation base could not keep up with Knight Sorrow's will, the power of will on his body was very intense. Only when his cultivation base reached a certain level would his aura stabilize. After cultivating quietly in 7 Night City for a month, the soul crystal Knight Sorrow had left behind for Ao Luyun cracked. This told him that the 7 Rain Monarch had replied. As for whether the 7 Rain Monarch would like to see him, Knight Sorrow did not know. However, he knew that the 7 Rain Monarch had given him a chance to meet. That was equivalent to giving herself a chance. After greeting the girls beside him, Knight Sorrow took the teleportation array to Big Dipper City. He then arrived at the inn. Just as Knight Sorrow arrived at the inn, Ao Luyun appeared. Ao Luyun was a king. Naturally, she could sense Knight Sorrow's aura. Seeing Knight Sorrow, Ao Luyun's eyes were filled with shock. She had just met Knight Sorrow a month ago. At that time, Knight Sorrow had become a disciple of a half-step king. Now, however, he was already a 2-star king. This was a breakthrough across realms. 2-star king. Ao Luyun could not help but ask. Chapter 1089. I was lucky enough to break through. Knight Sorrow nodded. This was something that could not be hidden. Ao Luyun suppressed his shock and brought Knight Sorrow into her room. Then, he handed a soul crystal to Knight Sorrow. Master is a monarch. It is not convenient for her to enter the territory of other monarchs. This is a strand of her soul power. You can talk to her and see if there is a need to meet. Alright, I understand. Knight Sorrow nodded. Then, Ao Luyun left the room. Knight Sorrow exerted force with his right hand and crushed the 7 Rain Monarch's soul crystal. As the soul crystal shattered, the energy in front of Knight Sorrow vibrated. Then, the 7 Rain Monarch in a white dress appeared in front of Knight Sorrow. The 7 Rain Monarch looked at Knight Sorrow with astonishment in her eyes. Amidst her astonishment, she waved her arm and set up a barrier. 2-star Time Monarch. Knight Sorrow, you really won't stop until you shock someone to death. Lord Monarch is too kind. Knight Sorrow was just lucky. Knight Sorrow cupped his hands and said. Can this be explained by luck? Would you believe what others say? What trouble have you encountered that you need my help to solve? The 7 Rain Monarch looked at Knight Sorrow. There was only one kind of emotion in her eyes, and that was admiration. I want to make a deal with Lord Monarch. Knight Sorrow said. A deal? That is not necessary. Just say the word. If I can help you, I will definitely help you. I just hope that you can seriously consider whether you want to join the 7 Rain realm. The 7 Rain Monarch shook her head. She did not say that it was easy. Maybe the word, deal, is too harsh. Knight Sorrow is helpless. How should I put it? I want to give myself and Lord Monarch a chance. Here is the thing. I am facing a threat from a high-level king. I need a solution. For example, the formation plate. I can give you 3 drops of soul cultivation liquid in return. Knight Sorrow said. Soul cultivation liquid. You really did obtain this soul cultivation liquid. High-level king realm is also different. Take you for example. When you enter the high-level king realm, your actual battle strength is comparable to that of a monarch. In terms of research on arrays and array disks, in the 9 Firmament World Group, no one can surpass Monarch No Beginning. The 7 Rains Monarch said. I know. I've seen the No Beginning Monarch's disciple use the No Beginning array disk before. I'm looking for the monarch because there is a good karma between the monarch and me. Knight Sorrow explained the reason he was looking for the seven-rain monarch. Very good. You are indeed giving me a chance. How about this? My attainments in arrays are average, but I can also refine array discs. I will immediately start refining them. In addition, I will send someone to deliver the seven-rain god sealing pagoda to you. I will also send you my high-level soul crystal. My spiritual body will cooperate with you to use the god sealing pagoda. Killing a high-level king is still possible. The seven-rain monarch said. Good. Knight Sorrow thanks the seven-rain monarch. This is soul cultivation liquid. I hope it will be of some help to you. Knight Sorrow took out a jade bottle and handed it to the seven-rain monarch. Latest updates/new updates, then I won't say any polite words. Remember, if you need anything, call me. I am your friend. After speaking, the seven-rain monarch removed the barrier and called Ao Luyun in. Master. After entering the room, Ao Luyun bowed. Bring this back to me. Also, I have something to instruct you on when you return. Remember, Knight Sorrow has been my friend since we met. He will be my friend in the future. After instructing Ao Luyun, the seven-rain monarch's spiritual body dissipated. How long a spiritual body could exist and how much combat power it had would depend on how much spiritual power it poured into the soul crystal. How do I find you after I return? Ao Luyun asked Knight Sorrow after keeping the jade bottle. Knight Sorrow casually made a soul crystal and handed it to Ao Luyun. Just crush it. Ao Luyun cupped his fists towards Knight Sorrow and left the inn. Ao Luyun's attitude towards Knight Sorrow had changed. He was much more respectful now. The reason Ao Luyun respected Knight Sorrow was because of the seven-rain monarch's instructions. Another reason was because of Knight Sorrow himself. Ao Luyun was very clear about Knight Sorrow's situation. A half-step king could fight and kill kings. Now that Knight Sorrow was a two-star king with advanced attributes, a basic king was no longer a match for Knight Sorrow. An intermediate king against Knight Sorrow was also unknown. After sending Ao Luyun off with his eyes, Knight Sorrow returned to Northstar's mansion and happened to run into her. Northstar's eyes were filled with astonishment when she saw Knight Sorrow. She was a half-step king. Naturally, she could see through Knight Sorrow's situation. How did you become a two-star king without saying anything? I just broke through. Hee hee. I didn't see you when I arrived, Knight Sorrow said with a smile. You are ruthless enough. Celebrate. We must celebrate. You return to the Celestial Master Pavilion first. I'll go to the Heavenly Star Pavilion to prepare some food and wine. Well done, well done. Northstar gave Knight Sorrow a thumbs up. She was only happy that Knight Sorrow had entered the king's realm. She didn't have any other emotions, nor did she feel any jealousy. Knight Sorrow nodded and returned to the mansion behind the Celestial Master Pavilion. He brewed a pot of tea and waited for Northstar. At this time, Knight Sorrow was very relaxed. His entry into the king's realm would trigger a series of chain reactions. The 9-domain world's doppelganger that had fused with the heaven-sealing Great Hall would become even stronger. Suppressing the evil spirit world wouldn't be a problem. In addition, his alchemy and smithing levels could continue to increase. He could aim to become a true celestial master. While Knight Sorrow was pondering, Northstar arrived. Behind her was Greed King. I'm a little presumptuous. My junior sister went to get some food and wine. I was interested, so I asked a few questions. My junior sister then told me about your situation. I felt that I had to come and congratulate you. Greed King, who was still dressed sloppily, cupped his hands towards Knight Sorrow. Brother Greed, you are too polite. We are not outsiders. It was my fault for not informing you. The main reason is that I didn't want to be flamboyant. There are too many things happening now, Knight Sorrow said apologetically. According to your situation, keeping a low profile is the right thing to do. There is nothing to be apologetic about. Just drink a few more cups later, Greed King said with a smile. Then I will drink with Brother Greed. Knight Sorrow nodded. He admired Greed. He admired Greed's carefree attitude that no one else had. He lived his own life and let others laugh and scold him. After having a good drink with Yi Shang, the greedy wolf monarch left. Knight Sorrow, I am relieved that you have become a king. If this news doesn't spread, those sovereigns will only send out beginner kings. They won't be able to threaten you at all, Northstar said. Yes, it will be stable for a while. Knight Sorrow nodded with a smile. When your main body comes out of the Will of the World cave and safely returns to the 9-domain world, you can announce that you are the 9-domain world's realm master. A realm master is immortal in his own world. I don't think anyone will dare to target you. Just thinking about their ugly faces makes me happy, Northstar said after taking a big gulp of wine. I still need some time. I won't leave the Will of the World cave early. 100 years is only a short period of time, Knight Sorrow said with a smile. Chapter 1090. Did you bring any resources? If your energy cultivation couldn't keep up, it would affect your battle prowess. Bei Xing asked. I have enough resources to reach the intermediate king level. Knight Sorrow said with a smile. Bei Xing laughed so hard that his body swayed back and forth. No one knows your current cultivation. When the time comes, you'll be an intermediate king, and they'll be beginner king. How interesting. Knight Sorrow also laughed. Energy cultivation was a part of battle prowess. When his will of space reached the king level, his actual battle prowess would increase even more. An ordinary beginner king would only be killed. Knight Sorrow still had some regrets in his heart. He didn't have anywhere to comprehend the supreme will of nothingness. The 9-domain world was a high-level world, and it also broke the shackles of not being able to produce a king. However, the supreme will of nothingness could only be found in a supreme world. There was still a long way to go before the 9-domain world could reach a supreme world. In other words, if Knight Sorrow wanted to grasp the will of nothingness in advance, he would have to enter a supreme world. There's hope for my king artifact. Bei Xing looked at Knight Sorrow and said. Becoming a heavenly alchemist and weapon refiner required talent and experience. It was impossible to do so without the accumulation of materials. Yi Shan had the talent and experience in refining. In the past, he could not refine sovereign king pills and weapons because he was stuck in his cultivation and realm. Now that he was a sovereign king, with his cultivation, refining sovereign king weapons and sovereign king pills would not be a problem. It will still take a while. Bring me the materials from the Celestial Master Pavilion. I'll return to Seven Night City to cultivate alchemy and blacksmithing. Knight Sorrow was also looking forward to the improvement of his alchemy and blacksmithing skills. Okay, find me if you need any materials. There's nothing in Big Dipper City that I can't get. Bei Xing was also very excited. After chatting with Northstar for a while, Knight Sorrow teleported back to Seven Night City. Northstar returned to the Big Dipper Manor. Inside the manor, Big Dipper King and Greedy Wolf King were drinking wine. Greedy Wolf King did not drink tea. He did not have the habit of drinking tea. Third senior brother, have you told my father? Bei Xing asked after sitting down. No. I'm not a blabbermouth. I'll leave the matter to you. Tan Lang King said with a smile. In his eyes, his master's daughter was his little sister, and he had to spoil her. Xing, what didn't you tell father? Big Dipper King asked with a smile. Last chapter square root previous chapter square root, Knight Sorrow has entered the king's realm. The will of time is the king. I'm afraid not many people know about this, Northstar said. The will of time king. The first king of our 9 heavens realm with high-level will. Amazing. The rise of the 9 regions world will be unstoppable. Big Dipper King stood up and said. Master, he directly broke through from the half-step king to the 2-star king. He's really talented, Tan Lang King added. The Northern Dipper sovereign's body trembled for a moment. Only Sovereign Boundless has managed to cross realms in a single moment of enlightenment. I reckon that if it wasn't for the huge gap in his energy and realm, resulting in the impact, his enlightenment would have continued. Yes, it's terrifying. When I was next to him, I felt a great pressure. When his cultivation level increases, a low-level king will be killed in front of him. Tan Lang King told his master what he felt when he saw Night Sorrow. Big Dipper King nodded. He knew how terrifying high-level will and high-level attributes were. Master, his current problem might be his low birth. This will limit his rapid development, Tan Lang King said. Yes. If he was born in a great world or a powerful force, he would use natural treasures to increase his cultivation level. At the same time, he could continue to comprehend. If his cultivation level can't keep up, it will delay his comprehension, Big Dipper King nodded. The level of a cultivator was divided into energy cultivation level and realm. The energy contained in the body couldn't exceed the realm level. If the energy cultivation level didn't match the realm level, it would also affect the improvement of the realm level. Do you think Night Sorrow is stupid? He said he went in with cultivation resources. He also said he had no problem reaching the mid-level king level, North Star said with a smile. Since he told you all this, it seems he really does treat you as a close friend. Since that's the case, tell Yi Shan when he wants to leave Nine Heavens Pagoda. I'm willing to go pick him up. Big Dipper Sovereign made a decision. Big Dipper King's decision seemed simple, but it wasn't. There were many implications. There were many kings waiting for Night Sorrow. Moreover, they were all subordinates of the monarchs. If he went to pick up Night Sorrow, it would be the same as going against the other monarchs. Although Big Dipper King was a king under Black Heaven Monarch and didn't need to care about the other monarchs, offending him wasn't a small matter. Master, I'll go. No one knows Night Sorrow's level. If I go pick him up, it won't be a problem for the two of us to deal with the other low-level kings, Greedy Wolf King said. He didn't want Big Dipper King to have too much karma involved. Night Sorrow is a righteous person. It's important to help when one is in need. Forming good karma will only benefit me. This is also the biggest hurdle in his life. We can't fail. I'll go. It's decided. Big Dipper King shook his head. Father, Night Sorrow said that when he reaches the Heavenly Master rank, he will help me refine a king artifact, North Star said with a smile. That's righteousness. Big Dipper King nodded. He had high hopes for Night Sorrow. He was neither delicate nor humble. He was himself. This was the Night Sorrow in his eyes. Inside the Seven Rain Palace, the Seven Rain Sovereign was fiddling with a small blue pagoda. At this moment, Ao Luyun entered the palace and handed the jade bottle to the Seven Rain Sovereign. Then, she stood to the side. Inform your big senior sister to come over, the Seven Rain Sovereign said to Ao Luyun after sitting quietly for a while. Ao Luyun nodded and went to handle the matter. Her big senior sister was a high-level king. Her title was Floating King. Her ultimate floating sword technique was famous in the Nine Firmament world. After 15 minutes, a woman in white with red plum blossoms entered the palace with Ao Luyun. Then, the two of them greeted the Seven Rain Sovereign. Floating, go to the Black Celestial Realm to protect someone. It's not convenient for you to enter the Celestial Realm. Visit the Black Heaven Sovereign and Big Dipper King as an excuse. Actually, you should pay them a visit. The person protecting you is called Night Sorrow. He will protect you secretly. If anyone above the mid-level king makes a move on him, he will be killed immediately. It doesn't matter who it is or what power it is. I, as your master, will bear the consequences, the Seven Rain Sovereign said. Yes. Floating King, who was wearing a white dress embroidered with plum blossoms, bowed. Luyun, give the Seven Rain Array Disc, God Sealing Pagoda and this soul crystal to Night Sorrow. The Seven Rain Sovereign waved her arm and handed a few items to Ao Luyun. Master, you cannot leave the God Sealing Pagoda. I will take care of it. After hearing the Seven Rain Sovereign's words, Floating King's expression changed. Chapter 1091. There are some things that you don't understand. Others have done what they should do, so as master, I must do what I should do. When people treat us with sincerity, we must also treat them with sincerity. Master owes them. Besides, without the god's sealing pagoda, who can threaten Master's safety? Master has gained some insights over the years. Whoever wants to test Master's strength will have to leave something behind. The Seven Rain Monarch's tone was very calm at the start. But towards the end, there was a trace of coldness. Monarchs were overlords at the level of king. Although they weren't world overlords and couldn't rule their own world, their prestige couldn't be violated. Whoever dared to disobey would die. This had nothing to do with whether the monarch was a man or a woman. The Seven Rain Monarch usually looked very gentle, but his domineering aura was also ingrained in his bones. Without a certain temperament, he wouldn't be able to become a monarch. Master, disciple feels that disciple can resolve this matter. There is no need for Master to take out a protective treasure. The Drifting Rain Monarch said. There are some things you don't understand. Originally, I didn't want to explain it to you. But now, there's no harm in telling you. Night Sorrow gave me 3 drops of soul cultivation liquid. He has some difficulties that he needs to solve. One must be careful when doing things. He gave me some opportunities. Therefore, Master has to give something in return. The Seven Rain Monarch said after pondering for a moment. Soul cultivation liquid. He gave Master the soul cultivation liquid in return for Master helping him solve some problems. This is just a deal. Disciple will kill whoever he wants. The Drifting King bowed. She didn't want the Seven Rain Monarch to leave her side. Think about it. He has the soul cultivation liquid. Any monarch can solve his problem. He just wants an arrayed disc that can control a high-level king. Why can't he find Mysterious Heaven Monarch? Why can't he find No Beginning Monarch? He knows that the disciple of No Beginning Monarch used the No Beginning arrayed disc before, so he has a good relationship with the disciple of No Beginning Monarch. The reason why he came to find me is because I have a good relationship with him in the past. He wants to give this opportunity to me, so this is not a trade. It is a mutual help between friends. The Seven Rains Monarch explained the reason for his decision to his 2 disciples. Disciple understands. Floating King nodded his head. There were some things that he didn't know, so he misunderstood. Now that he knew the details, he naturally understood the reason behind it. Eldest senior sister, don't look down on him. That fellow is a freak. He's over 100 years old, and he's already a 2-star king. Not only that, but he's also a time king with a high-level will. Ao Luyun said with a smile. She knew what kind of person her eldest senior sister was. She wouldn't give anyone a good face easily. She was very arrogant. Advanced king. Floating King glanced at Ao Luyun before turning to look at the Seven Rain Monarch. Indeed, he's a king with 2 stars. I don't want to discourage you, so I'll tell you more. Back in the days, during the first saints' meeting of the continent of the 9 clouds, he was a half-king with space intent. At that time, his time intent was 90%. In other words, sooner or later, he'll be a king with space intent. A king with 2 stars intent is unprecedented in the history of the continent of the 9 clouds. People who offend him will regret it, said the Seven Rains King. The Seven Rains Monarch's words shocked Floating King and Flowing Cloud King. There will always be talents in every generation. Just because we can't do it doesn't mean that others can't. Alright, you guys can go. The Seven Rain Monarch waved at her 2 disciples before disappearing from the Seven Rain main hall. In the past, she could not increase her strength. Now that she had the soul cultivation liquid, she had a chance. The only genuine he is the pirated version Night Sorrow, who was staying in Seven Night City, would refine Dawn every day. Once he reached a certain realm, his alchemy cultivation could be improved. He wanted to become a heavenly master alchemist so that he could refine profound spirit Dan and 9 transformation Dan. Both of these were top-quality Dawn. They could also be said to be the King of Dawn. King-level Dawn were also known as King Dan. After refining many batches of spirit comprehension Dan to increase his proficiency, Knight Sorrow pondered for a moment before taking out the spirit root grass. After organizing his thoughts, he began to refine. The refining process of the profound spirit Dan was very complicated. If one's realm and soul power could not keep up, they would not be able to refine it. Fortunately, Knight Sorrow had the 9 region origin beads in his spirit sea. His soul power was already at King's level, so he dared to start. 6 days later, Knight Sorrow's first batch of profound spirit Dan failed. There was a slight mistake when he was condensing the Dan. The failure was within Knight Sorrow's expectations. It was not easy to refine King-level Dawn. After drinking a cup of heart-cleansing tea and studying the reason for the failure, Knight Sorrow opened the furnace and continued refining. This time, Knight Sorrow was much smoother. After all, he had already experienced failure once. A few days later, it was time to condense the Dawn. This time, Knight Sorrow was especially careful. It took him 3 days to condense the Dawn. When the Dawn took shape, Knight Sorrow felt at ease. The King-level profound spirit Dan was just around the corner. It would not be a problem to nourish it for a while. At this moment, black clouds appeared in the sky. Tribulation clouds. After looking up, Knight Sorrow understood that this was the Dawn tribulation clouds. Dawn were the same as cultivators. When heaven-defying Dawn were born, there would be a lightning tribulation. Only by passing the test would one truly exist in the world. If one could not pass the test, they would turn into ashes. When Knight Sorrow opened the furnace, more than a dozen white Dawn flew into the air. At this time, the lightning tribulation clouds also moved. With a loud explosion, more than a dozen lightning bolts appeared and directly struck the rotating Dawn. The Dawn could not be dodged, so Knight Sorrow could not do anything. He could only watch. Under the bombardment of the purple lightning bolts, the Dawn spun in the air and did not shatter. A quarter of an hour later, a purple halo and veins appeared on the surface of the pill. The veins were circulating on the pill. Knight Sorrow knew that those were lightning patterns, which were also Dawn. Only the King-level Dawn had such patterns. It was the sign of a top-grade Dawn. With a wave of his right hand, energy wrapped around the Dawn and Knight Sorrow put them into the jade bottle. At this time, Sikong Chuyu and the others who were watching from the side came to Knight Sorrow's side. 13. What's the situation with the lightning? Yang Lei asked. Dawn tribulation. When the heaven-defying King-level Dawn are born, there will be such a tribulation. The Dawn I refined just now were such Dawn. Fortunately, we survived. Come. Everyone take one. This is a Dawn that can improve cultivation aptitude. Knight Sorrow pointed to the jade bottle on the table in front of him and said. Then we won't stand on ceremony. Sikong Chuyu smiled and took one. Yang Lei, Aoi, Xueshi, and Zhu Jiuyun also took one. Everyone was on the same side, so there was no need to stand on ceremony with Knight Sorrow. Sixth senior sister, take these 3 Dawn and give them to my parents and Father Gu. I will refine the Dawn for the others. I still have some materials. Knight Sorrow once again gave 3 bottles of Yun spirit pills to Aoi. Then, he kept the remaining bottles. Okay, I will go to the 9-domain world later to give the Dawn to my parents. Aoi nodded. At this time, Knight Sorrow raised his head. He felt his soul crystal shatter and understood that the 7 Rain Monarch side had a result. You're tuning into the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.